and putting that all together relatively quickly. I think that's a tough ask, and I think she's done a good job. But, I'm curious to talk to her after the game today and kind of see where she's at and what she thinks of the progress so far. But I think, I was very critical of the hire back when Finchin was hired in March. So I think so far I'm not ready to say I was wrong, but I'm also ready to admit that I might have been wrong, and that speaks to what she's been done in a relatively short amount of time.
From the Wisconsin State Journal, Jim Polzine, sports columnist, joining us here on D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network. Kind of a bigger picture question as it concerns the athletic department. You see the success, and granted, it's early season success, of what you were just talking about, the women's basketball program. We all think that the men's basketball program is going to have a successful season. Big game tonight on the road at number 23, Nebraska. You see the success that both hockey teams are having. The women's hockey team has always had a lot of success, still ranked number one, blowing everybody out. The men's hockey team ranked second in the country. The volleyball team, once again, in the Sweet 16 for the 13th straight year. Do you think that all of that success has anything to do with the bar being where we all feel like it should be for the football program, or is it entirely, in your opinion, just something that's completely separate and the football program has to stand on its own and be what it was at one point?
Yeah, it's a great question because I don't want to ignore everything else that's going on. Last week, you guys was like, I think this athletic department went 17-0 over the course of a week in terms of all their sports teams. Yeah, it just and that's, you have to stop and appreciate that those weeks don't come around, and a lot of those wins were were big time in terms of importance. Wisconsin beating Marquette in men's basketball, the women's hockey team winning at Ohio State, sweeping them. There was just a lot of impressive wins. So yes, I think you could stop and appreciate that, and there are a lot of programs that are in really good shape right now. I will say this, and I'm going to move here because the cheering squad is moving in on me.
Yeah.
So I'll say this: the football team has to be better. I think Chris McIntosh would admit this, and we saw this during COVID. That is the engine that drives this athletic department. If that program isn't doing well in terms of success on the field, but drawing people through the door and and bringing in revenue, then I think everybody else in the department suffers. The bills become harder to pay if the football team's not doing its part to drive revenue. So I guess that's my answer, is that, yes, all this other success is great and we absolutely should applaud it and appreciate it. But this football team absolutely needs to get back to it being kind of close to where it once was. And that road, I don't know how long it will take, but it has to happen, or else I worry that there's going to be a trickle-down effect to the rest of the teams that we just talked about.
Tonight, the Badgers men's basketball team will be in action on the road at 23rd ranked Nebraska. They happen to be undefeated to this point in the season. And John Blackwell is quickly becoming, I think, more familiar, certainly in the Big Ten, but I would imagine on the national perspective, he will become a name to know down the road this year. How impressed have you been with his production now here in year 3 and his progression throughout his career at UW?
Yeah, you talk about a guy who just wasn't very highly recruited and didn't get, Wisconsin kind of plucked him from below the radar and believed in him from the very start. But, certainly a really good job of evaluating a guy that wasn't on any top 100 list or anything like that. So I think that speaks to them. I also think it speaks to him. He's just an incredibly hard worker, very focused guy. I've had a chance. His dad played at Illinois. I've had a chance to talk to his dad and kind of could see where John gets his mentality. It's just a humble family and a hardworking family. And I think that's kind of why John's taken a big jump since he's been here. I still think there's more to go. I think he thinks he can be better. I think the important thing that happened after last season was he went through the NBA draft evaluation process and, was told he had some things to work on. And that's humbling, I think, in some ways to guys. And you have to have the right personality to be able to take that feedback and apply it to your game, and he's done exactly that. The one area it shows is he's become a more consistent 3-point shooter, and he's just not going to play in the NBA if he can't get that part of his game down. And this year he's turned into a really good shooter, and he's been terrific. So, I think the last 2 years they've gone in the portal and gotten the main part of the offense. AJ Storr 1 year and John Tonje the next. And this year I think they thought all along that John Blackwell was going to step into that role as kind of the lead guy on the wing. And he's done that, and some good complementary pieces around him has allowed him to kind of, he doesn't have to do it all, but he's done a really good job in a lot of games of being the alpha guy.
Jim Polzin joining us from the Wisconsin State Journal. I do want to change gears, talk some Packers football in the remaining couple of minutes that we do have with you. The Packers have Denver coming up on the road, 3:25 kickoff on Sunday, then the rematch with the Bears, then at home against Baltimore, and then at Minnesota. Of those 4 games, if you're a Packers fan, which one should concern you the most?
Great question. Because I think the next 2 are the ones that concern me the most. I don't know which order I'd rank them in. I think, I'll say this, I think if you lose at Denver and win at Chicago, I think that's the better scenario for the Packers, because it makes it really hard for them to lose the division. And then if you win the division, I think you're probably at worst a 2 seed. I think if they can find a way to split these next 2 games, I think that would be a pretty impressive feat. And I think they're equally difficult for various reasons. Like, I'll just go back to this game on Sunday at Lambeau. Like, those 2 teams are pretty even. Like, Green Bay dominated the first half, and Chicago, for the most part, dominated the second half. But, that's a 7-point game that was very, very even and kind of a coin flip. And so I would expect Green Bay to have a tough time going down to Chicago and winning in 2 weeks, even though I think they are still the better team. And they're a more talented team, and they're the more experienced team in these types of big games. Denver is a team that I can see playing in the Super Bowl, and going out there and having to play in the thin air. It's going to be a tough matchup. It's one of the better defenses the Packers will face. So I don't know. Like, I just think if you can get a split here, I think you're in really, really good shape and still can make it around the number 1 seed. If you lose both of these, then, you're still okay in the playoff race, but you're probably playing for a wild card at that point.
Jim Polzin, Wisconsin State Journal, Badger Extra, joining us here on D.N.D. for just a couple more moments. We'll go from one tough question to the next. I posed this to Doug yesterday. I said, Doug, what do you think's more likely? The Packers are the 1 seed or the Packers miss the postseason? What do you say, Jim?
I say 1. Because I think to miss the postseason, they'd have to lose 3 of the last 4. And certainly every one of those games is losable. Like, I'll acknowledge that up front, as much as I talked about those first 2 being the toughest. Like, Baltimore is not playing well, but it's still a dangerous team. Going to Minnesota, as much as that team struggled, is not a gimme. So I think both those games are losable. But I don't think this team's going to go 1-3. I think they'll win those last 2, and I really do think they're going to find a way to split. If you go 3-1, you need some help there, but I still think that's the more likely scenario of getting to the 1 seed than completely falling apart down the stretch and missing the playoffs altogether.
Now, I said miss the playoffs because of what the Rams have in front of them. Now, they've got 2 games that are difficult, Detroit and Seattle, and then they've got 2 games to end the season against Atlanta and Arizona. They should be able to win both of those games pretty handily. I don't think the Packers are going to miss the playoffs, but Nick gave me the binary choice, and, I had to pick one or the other. I picked miss the playoffs. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, but I don't think the Rams are going to probably lose 2 games, though, either. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a tough question. You guys have you've come up with some doozies today, so impressive.
That's what we do.
It's what we do. Jim, we appreciate the time so much. Go enjoy the basketball game today, and we will look forward to checking back in with you next week.
Great. Thanks, guys. Take care. All
right. Thanks, Jim. You too. There he goes. Jim Polzin from the Wisconsin State Journal, outstanding sports columnist, joining us here on D.N.D. It's a great. I love these brain twisters that you come up with sometimes, Nick, because I don't think, I have to say this very clear, I don't think the Packers are going to miss the playoffs. I just think that with the bunching up in the NFC, it's possible they can miss the playoffs if they have a couple of stinkers. I think they can afford 1 clunker. Don't think they can afford 2, just based on how good the rest of the NFC is, or at least, as Wayne would put it, how good the rest of the NFC's records are.
If the Packers were to lose 2 games and the Lions won out, you're looking at the Lions leapfrogging the Packers, even though the Packers beat them both times this year, because they both have 5 losses, but one of them would have the 12 wins, while the Packers were 11 wins and 1 tie. So it's on the table. That's why these games are still so compelling. Can't get comfortable quite yet, but the Packers, to me, I would think are more likely to be the 1 seed than miss the postseason. or we're talking about like 10% and 5%. I mean, the majority of all likelihood, they're going to be a 2 or a 3 seed.
Yeah. I think these last 4 games are going to be really fun to watch. If I do predict anything, listen, the Packers are starting to play like we all thought that they could at the beginning of the year. And as I have said on numerous occasions, the NFL schedule, the NFL season is longer than you think it is. It doesn't feel like it in the time because there's always so much attention that gets paid to every game because it is a week-by-week league. And you just watch the national talking heads and to see how they vacillate from one week to the next about how they feel about the Packers and every other team in the NFL that's a contender as well. So, yeah, you're going to have some bumps in the road. The Packers have had some bumps in the road, but right now they're peaking at the right time. It's Toyotathon. I mean, what more do you want? You see the big Toyotathon jacket that Jordan had on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, so he got paid for that. All right, 1 hour down, 3 hours to go. Stay with us. It's D.N.D. Doug Russell, Nick Bruzewitz on the game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1971.
The Doors released their 6th and final studio album, L.A. Woman, while Paul McCartney releases his 2nd solo album, Ram, which goes to #1 UK and #2 US. The album includes several jibes at John Lennon and the #1 single, Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey. In May of 71, soul singer Marvin Gaye releases his concept album, What's Going On, and has 3 top 10 singles. And Rod Stewart's 3rd solo album goes #1 and has a #1 single, Maggie May.
Maggie, I wish I'd never seen your face.
In July of 71, The Who releases Who's Next. It tops the charts in the UK and goes to #4 in the US.
Teenage wasteland, oh yeah. Teenage wasteland. They're all wasted.
The Allman Brothers released their breakthrough live double album at Fillmore East. And in August, the concert for Bangladesh, organized by George Harrison and Ravi Shankar, is held in New York City. In addition to the organizers, Eric Clapton, Bob Dylan, Badfinger, Leon Russell, and Billy Preston appear.
Feel my guitar gently weep.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1971. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1973.
Sing with me, just for today. Never tomorrow to come down and take you away.
In 76 and yield a top 10 hit, Dream On.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, right on down.
Elvis Presley's live TV special, Aloha from Hawaii, is watched by more than 1 billion people worldwide and introduces the world to the rhinestone white jumpsuit. In February of 73, Alice Cooper has a #1 album with $billion Babies, along with 3 top 40 singles. Elton John also has a #1 album and his first #1 single with Crocodile Rock. Paul McCartney and Wings have a #1 single with My Love, and the Stooges signed to Columbia Records and released their final album, Raw Power, produced by David Bowie. In March, Pink Floyd releases the now legendary Dark Side of the Moon. It goes to #1 and becomes one of the best-selling albums of all time.
And everything under the sun is you. And the sun is a great spot on you.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1968.
Born to be wild.
In January of 1968, Steppenwolf released their debut album, including the single Born to be Wild, which charts at #2 in the U.S. Johnny Cash records 2 live shows at California's Folsom Prison, along with June Carter and Carl Perkins. Also in January, the Beatles are #1 with Hello Goodbye. In London, they launched their own company, Applecore, with a store, a recording studio, and record label.
Don't know why you say goodbye, say hello.
February of 68, Pink Floyd lead singer Syd Barrett is checked into a psychiatric hospital and the band replaces him with David Gilmour. The Beatles, Donovan, Mia Farrow, and others travel to India to study transcendental meditation with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And Bill Graham opens the Fillmore East concert venue in an abandoned New York City theater. April of 1968, the musical Hair opens on Broadway for the first of 1,750 performances. It would spawn several top 40 hits, including Aquarius, Good Morning Starshine, and Hair. Simon and Garfunkel released their album Bookends, which goes to #1 in the US and the UK. The single Mrs. Robinson would go to #1 in June, thanks to the movie The Graduate.
God bless you, please, Mrs. Robinson. Heaven holds a place for those who pray. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1968, coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to talk about how he thinks music has changed over the years.
Oh, I think music has, it's either music or it's not, but it's split into so many categories. Actually, it was Clockwork Orange, a writer of Clockwork Orange. His name escapes me right now, but he's a writer. He about that in the 60s, that music was going to fragment, and 14-year-olds wouldn't like 15-year-old music, and 15-year-olds wouldn't like 16-year-old music, and it's really kind of how it's come down.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
Your attention, please. We are the gang and the home of D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave. Weekdays from 10 to 2, live 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, and X by searching 97.3 The Gang. Drop it.
He's very knowledgeable, very intelligent guy, very personable guy.
Here's Doug Russell.
All right, well, college football's highest honor goes to a Badgers legend.
Phillips under his center, Travis Frederick. Takes the snap, toss right side. Monte Ball to the 20, to the 15, ball to the 10, ball to the 5, ball to the end zone. Touchdown, Wisconsin! The NCAA touchdown record belongs to Ball.
LFA still has his fastball. That was from, about a decade ago or so, Nick?
Oh, yeah, longer even.
Still sounds, I guess it would be. Well, they went
14
to 3 straight
years.
Yeah, my goodness. Man, time flies. Monte Ball, college football's touchdowns leader when he went pro. He's inducted last night into the College Football Hall of Fame.
Going into the Big Ten championship game, understanding that if we win it, we get to Pasadena. We understood that we didn't want to get to the finish line and stop, so we wanted to run through it. And so for myself, telling guys as we got there, let's finish the game, get to where we need to get to, so that we can most definitely hold up the trophy, hoist it high, and to be proud to wear that motion W and take it all the way over to Pasadena.
Monte Ball becomes the 17th former Badger inducted into the College Football Hall. They haven't done TJ Watt yet. He'll certainly get there. Have they done JJ yet? I think they have.
I don't know. I know that he's in the Badgers, of course, Monte as well.
Sure.
I'm not sure if JJ is in the College Football Hall of Fame, but I will say this about Monte Ball. The challenges he faced in his life, specifically with substance abuse, and to come out the other side and be the man that he is,
100%.
a standing gentleman, a guy that gives back to the community in a lot of ways. He's one of those that you feel great about honoring now here after what he did as a Badger and his post-career in the community.
And as we were talking about with Jim Polzin just a few minutes ago, he was in the same offensive backfield as James White and Melvin Gordon. Those three running backs at the same time, there's a famous picture of the three of them. Just you can see the backs of their Wisconsin jerseys before they head out for a game. And just to have those three guys at the same time, my goodness gracious. And you look at the top 10 list of Big Ten rushers, half of them are populated by former Wisconsin Badgers. The top two, Ron Dane and Jonathan Taylor, you have to go down a couple of spots to find where Monte Ball is, but I think he's 5th or 6th. Anthony Davis is in the top 10 as well. Melvin Gordon is in the top 10. So the top 10 all-time rushers in conference history, about half of them are Wisconsin Badgers. That's an incredible feat when you think about some of the great players that have gone through this conference. I think Archie Griffin is number 3, and he won 2 Heisman trophies. Right now.
Jonathan Taylor would have been the all-time leading rusher in college football history had he decided to stay for his final year. And clearly he made a wise decision not doing so, looking at his professional ability.
He's done pretty well.
But J.J. Watt not in the College Football Hall of Fame quite yet. So we'll see if and when that happens. As it stands, Monte got in. and they were in the same era. So you'd think JJ would be right around the corner.
I would think that if he wasn't eligible yet. I don't know. I don't know how they calculate that because it's the College Football Hall of Fame, not the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And I know Mike Vick just got in this year as well.
And he was prolific at Virginia Tech.
Incredible college football player who also dealt with some demons off the field. But by all accounts, is a really great guy now. I think he's head coach somewhere at the collegiate level, maybe an HBCU. So he's no longer part of the Fox crew. He was on their NFL coverage for a while, but he's now a head coach at I think it's Sacramento State. I want to check though, make sure I get it right. He is the head coach at Norfolk State.
Norfolk State. Well, I mean that's in Virginia, so it makes sense.
So there you go, back home.
Also, let's stay in the Wisconsin football program. Linebacker Tackett Curtis, junior wide receiver Joseph Griffin. They've announced their entry into the transfer portal. They joined Katie Akamelli, Atticus Bertrams, Remington Moss, Cody Raymond, and Kyan Barry Johnson as 2025 Badgers that aren't coming back in 2026. Not surprised by any of them, are you?
No, and you shouldn't necessarily be surprised when they're not guys that you are circling on a given week that you're planning on watching and looking forward to seeing out there, right? I mean, those are the guys that you need to make sure you protect if you're the Badgers. Mason Posa, Cooper Catalano, Tretch Kekauna, Eugene Hilton, Carter Smith at quarterback, Emerson Mandel, offensive lineman who showed great strides this past year. Like, two of the three running backs between Atuka Dupree and Dylan Jones, like those are the guys you need to make sure you keep. Tackett Curtis had lost his starting job to the true freshman Cooper Catalano. Makes sense for him to leave. Cade stayed longer than he absolutely had to, and I give him all the credit in the world for trying to make it work. But Yakimelli never had a shot here. He's going to get a shot elsewhere, and I'm sure he'll perform well. But this is the era we're in. Julius Davis, former Badgers running back at Montana State now. They were just in their conference championship game, I believe, and he got into an altercation. I was like,
that was weird, but he was just trying to dap up his former teammate.
Again, another Marshall Howe, who was a quarterback here as well, who was with Yale in that matchup. So it was all like, I recognize that guy. And it's like, oh, yeah, he was with this team before Fickle.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, okay, well, there you go. These guys are all over the place. You're going to have a lot of people that can be claimed as former Badgers that didn't finish their career as Badgers that go on to the NFL. And Jim Radike
I was going to say, you look at Jim right now. I mean,
I'm counting him.
Of course you're counting him.
But, does Ohio State count Joe Burrow? That's the question.
I don't know. I count Jim because he also went to Waukesha North. So
he's a Wisconsin kid, so by nature you get to keep him, I guess. I mean, Joe Burrow's an Ohio kid, right? So that's the thing.
That's true. That's one of the reasons that when the Bengals were going to draft him, and there were a lot of folks who said, well, do you really want to go to the Bengals? He's like, yeah, I'm from Ohio. I'm fine with the Bengals.
Hell yeah. Remember they were all tanking for Tua that year?
Yeah, how'd that work out? Meanwhile, Burrow's
that draft class, Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so you got a hell of a draft class for quarterbacks, and Tua might be the worst.
He might be. A couple of other items tonight. Basketball, Big Ten game number 2 for Greg Gard's Badgers. They're at number 23, Nebraska. Game time is at 8 o'clock. If you're listening to us in Madison, you can listen to it on 1310 WIBA. If you're listening to us in Milwaukee, you can listen to it. Tonight's game will be on 1130 WISN. And then after the game in Madison, since Dave is in Orlando, it'll be you and me tonight on the J&K Security Solutions Basketball Postgame Show.
That is right. Are you going to be able to do it from your home studio?
Yes.
That is good news.
That is where I'll be doing it from.
That is good. I know it's going to be a later ending. I think we'll wrap around 11:30. So we'll have an opportunity there to chop up, hopefully, a victory. It's going to be a while until we have our regular lineup on the post-game show. I'm going to be out the next 2 after this one. So it'll be Dave and maybe you, Dave and someone else potentially.
All right. We will figure that out as time goes on. But again, tonight, the Badgers taking on 23rd ranked Nebraska women's hoops. Right now on 1070 the game in Madison. Wisconsin hosting San Diego. That is just getting underway. All right. The Bucks aren't in action until tomorrow. The question, though, that won't go away is how long will Giannis be a Buck? Yesterday, we asked Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Bucks beat writer Jim Ozarski, is Giannis really, as everyone seems to say, is he really on the trading block? Let me ask again. Is Giannis really on the trading block?
No. As long as the Bucks were going to lose, this was going to hang over the organization. We did not hear any of this when they were 6-3 or when they were 8-5. It is a fact, and nothing has materially changed between 8-5, 6-3, and now, other than the team is losing. Nothing has changed since the summer when Giannis does his annual want-to-win championships and put pressure on the organization.
The Bucks host the Celtics tomorrow night. Milwaukee enters play just 10-15 on the season. And the winter meetings are continuing for another day in Orlando. Brewers manager Pat Murphy is down there. He was asked, Dave Gasper was down there as well. He was asked about his best pitcher, Freddie Peralta, who will be a free agent or scheduled anyway to be a free agent after this coming season. He's been the subject of numerous trade rumors.
I watched some of these contracts out there, and he's due to be a wealthy man, have a lot of acreage if he wants it, maybe beachfront acreage wherever he wants it in multiple islands. Do I think he'll stay? I mean, you got to look at that whole situation. I hope that he does, because I love being part of his career. I've seen him every pitch in his big leagues he's made, and it's personal to me that I love the man, and I hope he's a Brewer.
A lot of us do as well. A couple of other notes from Orlando. Bryce Terang has been named to the Team USA roster for the 2026 World Baseball Classic. Kyle Schwarber signs with the Phillies. He gets a 5-year, $150 million contract. Highest annual average value for a designated hitter in baseball history. I suppose if you're going to give it to somebody, you might as well give it to the guy who had 56 home runs last season. And Mets closer Edwin Diaz signs for the Dodgers, 3 years, $9 million deal in LA.
Yeah, nothing really popping quite yet in the division, right? It doesn't feel like anyone has made any substantial changes quite yet. Cubs haven't done anything. Brewers haven't necessarily done anything. Pirates, they were in on Schwarber, I guess, and the Reds were actually in on Schwarber. And finally, the Cardinals, I don't know what direction they're going in. I think Nolan Arenado gets traded at some point. So the Cardinals will probably be selling more than they are buying here in the offseason. They already sold off Sonny Gray to the Red Sox.
I don't understand what the Cardinals are doing.
Being bad.
This is a team that forever has held itself up as a beacon of how to do baseball the right way. And they have just, and maybe it's because I'm traumatized by the Cardinals snatching victory from the jaws of defeat against specifically the Brewers on so many occasions, but I'm just so used to the Cardinals being one of those teams that always has a way to figure it out. I don't know that there are a lot of teams that aren't named. Well, Rockies have been wandering in the wilderness for a long time, but there aren't many. White Sox, another baffles. I don't know that there are many teams that have been wandering in the wilderness as much in the last 5 years that have more, historical cachet than perhaps the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't understand. I don't get what they're doing.
Yeah, they're sputtering. I mean, they have made some poor decisions on roster moves. They've built a team that is both young and old at the same time.
Which is really hard to do.
They just don't have a clear identity, and it was always their identity forever that they were going to be a very competitive, well-pitched, well-oiled machine, and they're not. So I'm happy for it. I know that there are better days ahead for the Cardinals, and I'm not looking forward to those. But as it stands now, I'm cool with it. Someone's got to bring up the rear. The Pirates probably still will. But if it's going to be a two-horse race in the division, I'm all for it between the Cubs and the Brewers. And the Reds are certainly a team to look out for. They made the playoffs this past year.
We are awaiting Matt LaFleur, Packers head coach, meeting the media in Green Bay. We will endeavor to bring that to you coming up in just a couple of minutes. Also, still to come, we will talk more about this topic that we brought up earlier about what former Packer would you like to see come back. I think it's an interesting question because Phil Rivers, at 44 years old, he's been out of the game for a while. He's been out of the game. I mean, he was eligible for the Hall of Fame this year. And I thought, wow, I mean, you look at his numbers, and I think it's going to be an interesting vote. I don't know that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer just because of the way that the game has changed, even though if you look at his overall statistics, he's in the top
7th and 6th, I think, in yards and touchdowns all time.
And then you look at a guy like Eli Manning, who played for a long time. And listen, they were drafted with each other. They were traded for each other. Rivers was drafted by the Giants and then traded to the Chargers for Eli because Eli didn't want to play for the Chargers back in the day, if you're old enough to remember that offseason of nonsense. So there's a lot of, I guess, similarities and a lot of things that you can compare the two with each other. And Eli at least won a couple of Super Bowls. Phil Rivers didn't win squat.
Well, yes. Rivers did have the one AFC Championship game appearance against the Patriots. Gosh, I don't remember what year it was, but he had torn his ACL the week prior, and then he played that next game. Rivers did. So he's a tough SOB.
Tough guy.
A lot of those guys from that class, Eli, Big Ben, Rivers, I mean, they all had long careers, all drafted within 10 picks of one another, and maybe even 5 picks of one another. I'm trying to figure out exactly where each guy fell in. I know Big Ben was 7 or 8, so would have been within 8 of each other. This is the guy that I've been a big fan of for many years. I'm excited and happy to see him put himself back out there if that's the decision they make, because the storyline is just ridiculous. And yeah, I think that the Colts are in quite a spot that they'd be calling a guy that did not, and I heard this from Danny Parkins on Fox Sports yesterday, he didn't touch the Biden era. He did not touch football in the entire presidency of Joe Biden.
Wow.
So in 2020, when he wrapped his career, Biden had been elected, but he didn't get sworn in until January of 2021. So he skipped the Biden administration. So he went from end of Trump to the beginning of next Trump administration without playing football. Like, it is a ridiculous thing. The last time he played in front of fans was 2019, because 2020 was all empty stadiums and cardboard cutouts and digital fans. And this is a dude that I think his life will be one that a lot will go. Someone in that Rivers family. He's got 10 kids.
Right.
Someone will be something.
And one grandkid.
And one grandkid. He becomes his second grandpa ever if he plays. Brett Favre was the first.
Yes, he was. All right, we're going to hear from Matt LaFleur, Packers head coach, coming up on the other side. He has not stepped to the podium yet. We'll bring it to you on the other side. It's D.N.D, Doug Russell, Nick Bruzowitz. Also check in with Dave Gasper down in Orlando, coming up a little bit later on in the program as well. Stay with us on the game.
Such a strange situation. I'm stopping every 100 miles, calling Baton Rouge.
You are listening to D.N.D with Doug, Nick, and Dave.
This pains me to say this, but Dave's right.
Hey, why does that pain you to say? I'm right quite a bit, I think.
Middays here on the game.
Baby, right.
Like you, it hurts us to think about Giannis in another NBA uniform.
Back in August, he approached the Bucks about the possibility of being traded to the New York Knicks, and the Bucks and the Knicks had several weeks of trade discussions about it.
We're in this together. Stay tuned for the latest news on the situation and support along the way here on the game.
iHeartRadio.
Here are the top Blondie songs that you thumbed up. Number 3, One Way or Another.
One way or another, I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you one day, maybe next week. I'm gonna meet you. I'll meet you.
Number 2, Heart of Glass.
In between, what I find is pleasing and I'm feeling fine. Love is so confusing, there's no peace of mind. If I fear I'm losing you, it's just no good. You're cheesing like this.
Number 1, Call Me.
Emotions come, I don't know why. Cover up love's alibi. Call me on the line. Call me anytime. Call me on the line.
Hear more from Blondie and similar artists now. Search for Blondie on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
In November of 73, Billy Joel's second album yields a minor hit with Piano Man, which goes to number 25.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. Well, we're all in the mood for a melody, and you've got us feeling all right.
Ringo Starr continues his solo success with the number 2 album and 3 top 10 hits, including 2 number 1s, Photograph and You're 16. Meanwhile, John Lennon releases his 4th solo album, Mind Games, which goes to number 9 in the U.S. And in December, the single Taking Care of Business drives the second album by Canadian rock band Bachman Turner Overdrive to number 4. Emerson, Lake and Palmer released their 4th album, Brain Salad Surgery, which goes to number 11. And after passing away in a plane crash in September, Jim Croce has a posthumous number 1 with Time in a Bottle.
Looked around enough to know you're the one I want to go through time.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
Van Morrison, formerly of the band Them, has a number 10 hit as a solo artist with Brown Eyed Girl. In July, LA band The Grassroots score their first top 10 hit with Let's Live for Today. And UK supergroup Cream, featuring guitarist Eric Clapton, tour the US for the first time.
In the sunshine of your love.
And in September, Janis Joplin's band Big Brother and the Holding Company signed with Columbia Records and released their debut album. October of '67, Memphis band The Box Tops, including 17-year-old gravel voice singer Alex Chilton, have a number 1 hit with The Letter.
Yeah, ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train. Lonely days are gone, I'm a going home. Baby, put me together. Baby, put me together.
And in November, the first issue of Rolling Stone magazine is published in San Francisco, featuring an interview with John Lennon. The Who have their first and only U.S. top 10 hit with I Can See for Miles. In December, they smashed their instruments on the Smothers Brothers TV show.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967. Coming up.
We call it Wagertainment.
All right, place your bets. Place your bets.
VSiN every night at 6. Presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest on Fox Sports 920.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
A shark took her arm, but not her teenage desire to be a surfing champ. So next time life puts a little fear in you, just think of Bethany Hamilton hanging 10 on top of a heavy wave. That's real courage. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
It's D.N.D. We continue on here on the Game Radio Network. You can find us on Twitter or X if you prefer. We stream on Facebook and also on YouTube. You can find us there and also on a couple of stations around the state still as well. I know we lose 1070 the game in Madison. They're in a women's basketball game right now. Maybe they'll catch the last hour of the program, but we'll see how that goes. Coming up tonight, it's the Badgers men's basketball team, an 8 o'clock tip-off at number 23, Nebraska. You can listen to that on 1310 WIBA in Madison. If you're in Milwaukee, you can listen to it on 1130 WISN or on the iHeartRadio app. And then after the game, stick around for the J&K Security Solutions basketball postgame show. You and me, Nick.
That's right. Just like last year's Big Ten tournament, I believe.
Yep.
Where we went, was it 4 days in a row? That's happened back-to-back years where it's been they won the first round, then their next round, then their next round, then lost in the championship game. And it's like, gosh, you're keeping me in town for 4 days and you're letting me down at the end. But whatever. I can't complain. I get paid for each one.
Exactly. Can't complain about that. All right, Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. He is meeting the media at the podium inside Lambeau Field at the media auditorium. Here is the coach as the Packers get set for the Denver Broncos. That do it? All right, there he goes. Good news there, Nick. Lucas Van Ness will at least be out on the practice field today.
Yes.
They've it's so frustrating because you've seen Lucas Van Ness this year at the beginning of the year, especially kind of really feeding off of Micah Parsons and what he was able to do. And the play that he got injured on was, one of his better plays that he's had over the course of his NFL career. And this is also why with Van Ness, you can't ever write somebody off after their first season, because he was really starting to come into his own as someone who could, if Micah Parsons is on one edge and Rashawn Gary is on the other, if you want somebody rushing the passer from, going through the guards, Van Ness was kind of that guy. And then he gets hurt, and Packers fans have been waiting and waiting and waiting. And certainly the coaching staff has been waiting and waiting and waiting for him to, air quotes, get it. I think he got it. He just needed some better players around him. So say the same thing about Rashawn Gary. I know that his numbers have dropped off a little bit as to where they were earlier in the season, but if he's healthy, if Van Ness is healthy, if Gary is healthy, it's going to be a long day for no matter who the quarterback is. You look at Caleb Williams last week. No, Micah didn't get home, but he was running for his life the entire game, and that affects the way that the Packers can defend, certainly against the pass, against a quarterback that is adept at extending plays like Caleb Williams is.
Absolutely. And the Packers have an advantage in that regard based on the opposing quarterback in 3 of their final 4 games. Bo Nix is a second-year pro with an inconsistent approach and an offense that leaves much to be desired. They'll get Caleb again next week, a second-year pro, and then they'll end the year with J.J. McCarthy. Like, the Packers have, I think, an opportunity to really dominate 3 of the next 4 games and get the other quarterback out of sorts. And Lamar, who knows what you're going to get from him? This year's been weird, but I wouldn't think they'd have the same level of advantage in that regard. So I would say 3 of the final 4. I mean, they will have a dominant defense against an unsuspecting and unproven quarterback.
We will talk more about the Packers and the Broncos coming up a little bit later on. Also, Troy Aikman is done with this new aspect of college football that I don't think he ever really anticipated that was going to be part of the landscape, but here we are, and he's finished with it. And what will that mean, bigger picture, for college football and the landscape of what NIL is and what it can be and what it can mean? Because I don't think he's going to be alone in this at all, but we'll hit on that coming up in just a few minutes as well. It's D.N.D, Doug, Nick, and Dave. We'll also hear from Dave Gasper coming up in the next hour of the program as well. He's down in Orlando at the baseball winter meetings. We'll see what kind of shenanigans he got into last night, night number 3 in Central Florida, with some of the boys from the from the Brewers. I can run through all of the teams if you want.
That's okay, might as well.
On the Brewers beat, as the hot stove heats up, will the Brewers make any moves? We'll find out in time as it goes on as well. Stay with us, D&D, here on The Game.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D will be back in just a moment.
This is Jordan Love, quarterback of the Green Bay Packers, and I am happy to accept my team's nomination for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. Being nominated for the work you're doing, not just on the field, but the stuff you're doing off the field, is big time.
His work on the field is such a small amount of who he actually is.
I'm right behind you.
He'll do everything that he can to help the community. He wants to be as impactful as he can.
Hands of Love Foundation started about 2 years ago with the emphasis to try and give back to youth and keep kids involved in sports. We've done some pretty cool things like doing youth camps. We've also done a cleat drive campaign where every touchdown I score, we've been able to give teams in Wisconsin, and we're now doing Bakersfield, everyone on the team a new pair of cleats. Also with this, there's a mental health side. My family's been impacted. We've had suicide in our family, whether it's raising money, bringing awareness, doing suicide prevention walks, just to be out there to support other people that might be going through these things, understanding that people aren't alone.
Since you're doing some good reading, can you read this out loud for me?
Oh, wow.
How you doing?
What a surprise this is. Read it out loud. Congratulations. You're the Green Bay Packers nominee for the 2025 Walter Payton Man of the Year. Wow. Wow.
as a mother, to be able to share this moment where you guys announced to him that he's been nominated by the team for this special award was amazing to be a part of it.
Wow, what a surprise.
To be able to share this moment with him, it's incredible. It's something that he'll always put on everybody. He won't accept it for himself, but he'll say it's the work of everyone around him. It's just so cool to see that people appreciate and notice the work that he's been doing.
And I think just the way I was raised, my parents always instilling in us that mindset to not only think of us, but to think of others. My mom's kept me grounded in that way to try and keep giving back and keep helping others out.
He's faced a lot of hardship in his life. For him to be recognized for something he's doing behind the scenes and off the field, it definitely makes me proud.
I am so proud of Jordan. I'm so happy for him, and I know he's proud too.
Thank you, Jordan.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
The Rolling Stones are back on top with the #1 album in the US and the UK and a #1 single, Angie. Let's Get It On is a #1 single and a #2 album for Marvin Gaye. Also in August of '73, Stevie Wonder is back with the #4 album, Inner Visions. And Florida band Leonard Skinner released their debut album, had a top 20 hit with Freebird, and tour opening for The Who. Fast forward to October, where on their 8th album, the Steve Miller Band debut a smooth blues rock sound and score a #1 hit with The Joker.
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I sure don't want to hurt no one.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1972.
In May, the Rolling Stones spend the year recording in southern France and release the double album Exile on Main Street. It goes to #1 in both the US and the UK. California band the Doobie Brothers score a hit off their second album, Toulouse Street, with the single Listen to the Music. More from the summer of '72, Curtis Mayfield is back on the charts with a soundtrack for the film Superfly. The album yields 2 top 10 hits with Freddy's Dead and the title track. And former Zombies keyboardist Rod Argent has a hit album and a #5 single in the US and the UK with Hold Your Head Up.
Hold your head up, hold your head up, hold your head up, hold your head up.
Harry Chapin's performance of the song Taxi on The Tonight Show 2 nights in a row leads to a hit. And struggling UK band Mott the Hoople get help from fan David Bowie, who produces their album and writes them a hit, All the Young Dudes, which peaks at #3 in the UK and in the top 40 in the States.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1972. Coming up.
And welcome back in, D.N.D. Doug, Nick, and Dave here on the Game Radio Network. Dave will be back in studio tomorrow, assuming that he can get in. My parents are flying in today from Florida as well, so hopefully they can get in with some of the snow that we've been experiencing here in Wisconsin. Great day to travel. Great day to get back from Orlando. In fact, they met. Well, no, Dave's still in Florida. My parents are from. They won't be. They would not be on the same flight.
Okay.
But if they delayed it for a day, it would be possible because they are flying into the same airport from the same airport. It's a very popular route, Milwaukee to Orlando.
Well, let's hope that your folks aren't in the exit row and Dave, just goes up to them and demands their seats.
Can you move? Can you move?
Actually, you should move. You are obligated to move for me.
Right.
I am 6'8".
You are not.
I don't know how tall your parents are, but
they're not 6'8". My mother is like 5'3" and not getting any taller. We'll put it that way.
That's right.
Dad is probably down to about 5'10" at this point, 5'11" perhaps.
Did you?
Yeah, don't make my 85-year-old father move seats, please. Come on now.
Have
What are
you
we doing?
seen? There's that picture with the Carters that the Bidens took, right? It's
yes,
like
I saw that one. I know exactly which picture you're talking about.
It's just because of the positioning, how they are fixed in the photo, that it looks like the Carters are very small. That's Dave compared to everyone on a plane.
I know.
He
I think
bullies
so.
them.
If you Google that picture, if you don't know what we're talking about, but there was a picture that was taken. I think it was shortly after Biden took office in 2020 when he went down and visited former President Carter and Rosalind, who have both since passed away. But yeah, I mean, our 39th president looks like he's about 3 feet tall.
They look very small.
It was a ridiculous picture. I can't even believe they put that thing out.
Yeah, it's just like, there is smaller and there are bigger people, and Dave's a taller guy.
Yeah.
And on a plane, I wouldn't want to be the one sitting next to him, especially if he doesn't get his way, right? If he doesn't get his aisle seat or his exit row.
Plane travel in and of itself is miserable enough. Now, I know that they've been kicking around. Secretary Duffy has been kicking around, a Wisconsin native and former Real World contestant, has been kicking around some of the things to put into the airports to make things a little bit better. And I know that it depends on kind of your political bent on it, because there's one side that says, yeah, this is a fine thing. And the other side is saying, I can't believe you're spending your time on this. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. I don't actually hate it, because you're cooped up at an airport. I don't think there's anything wrong if you just, this is the politicization of everything that we view things in the world right now. Is it a bad thing to have a place where you can burn off some energy at an airport? Just take the politics out of it. Is it a bad thing to have maybe a couple more healthy food options at an airport? Take the politics out of it. These aren't bad things. All right, I'm off my soapbox.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'd like for an airport to be a place that I'm happy to be. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm happy to be in this place. I'm excited about the next stretch of my travel journey. And this is not a killer pit stop. This is a fun pit stop wherever you are. I am flying down to Florida next weekend.
Have you figured out where you're staying yet? Or is that up to somebody else?
It's up to my brother. It sounds like it's being handled. We're going to stay in Miami. I don't know where. I typically allow him. I actually booked my own flights for the first time in my entire life. I'm 25 years old.
We're very proud of you.
I turned 25 tomorrow. I made it
Happy birthday.
24.
Happy birthday.
I made it nearly 25 years without booking my own flights.
Was that a goal?
No, I mean, it's just I went from when I was 5 until I was 19, never having flown. And then since then, I mean, I've probably flown 10 total times maybe in my life, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I've been here in Wisconsin. I mean, I actually went to peel back the curtain from the beginning of my employment here.
Okay.
Until
what are we talking about? 3 years or so?
This past 4th of July. So nearly 2 full calendar years without leaving the state of Wisconsin. I stuck my head down.
Wow.
I put my head down and I went to work.
Listen, you're a grinder. I as someone who has on the periphery kind of managed you a little bit along with Tim. You're a grinder. There's no question. I give you credit for that, but I guess I hadn't realized that you went 2.5 years without leaving the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's troublesome. Last time I was on a plane was in March of 2023. So we are approaching, closer to 3 years than it is 2. So I will be pit stop in Charlotte on my way down to Florida.
Okay. Charlotte's
not too shabby.
I'm trying to think the last time I was in the Charlotte airport. It's been a minute. I have been to it. I can't.
I'm not sure if I have.
It didn't stick out to me one way or the other, so it couldn't have been. Like, there are good airports. Some airports are better than others. Like, the Minneapolis airport is really, really nice. It's just big. And sometimes if you have a connection that's on the other side of the airport, you got to hustle to get there.
Right.
And that did happen to us once. But other than that, the Minneapolis airport is really nice. I like the smaller airports. Minneapolis is big, but I like the smaller airports. Milwaukee's airport is great because it's so small, relatively speaking. But I also flew out of O'Hare for the 7 years that I lived in Chicago. I did a lot of traveling for Sporting News while I was there. And I also lived 3 L stops away from O'Hare on the Blue Line, because you could take the Blue Line. I could walk to the Blue Line and then just take it straight into the airport, which I wish they would do that in New York. They don't do that in New York. The subway doesn't go to the airport in New York, which is bonkers to me. But they do. The Orange Line goes to Midway and the Blue Line goes to O'Hare. It's
smart.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant design. And I never minded O'Hare. Atlanta's airport is nice, but you will sit on the damn tarmac for about 4 years before you were able to leave. That's the biggest problem with those big airports. You're just sitting there forever because there's so many planes.
I have, I've been to Atlanta multiple times on, trips down to Florida. That one is huge. It's a very, very large airport. I enjoy it. I like hopping on the trains inside the airports because they're so big. You have to get into another, whole different wing. Yeah. It's a fun time to travel. I can tell you that. I mean, it is exciting still for me because I haven't done it that often. I'm sure folks that are stuck doing it all the time may not love it as much. The plane from Milwaukee to Chicago, I've been on many times.
It's ridiculous.
It's like 15 minutes. It's incredible.
I love how the flight attendant or the captain, whomever is doing the announcements, they say that we're gonna, thank you for joining us here on United Flight, 2222 to O'Hare with nonstop service to O'Hare. I was like, where nonstop service? Where are you going to stop, Kenosha?
That's right. And it's like they do their spiel on the belts and the air and everything for 5 minutes, and then they do 5 minutes of break, and then they come back 5 minutes later and say, "Okay, preparing to land. This is your landing protocol." It's like
a 19-minute wheels up to wheels down flight.
It's incredible, man. It's like just driving across town here in Madison. Like, if I drove to the airport from where I am at currently, it would equal the time that it takes to fly from Milwaukee to Chicago.
Because we're flying out of O'Hare at the end of the football season, but it's going to be, when we go to Hawaii, it's going to be 9 hours from O'Hare to Honolulu. I think it's Daniel Inouye Airport, if I'm not mistaken.
Nice.
But then on the way back, we're
it's
stopping.
Like 7 hours, right?
Well, on the way back, we're stopping at LAX. We have a 3-hour layover at LAX on the way back.
That's cool.
Ugh.
Layovers are crazy. I was trying to figure it out, right? Like I said, I was booking my own flights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was on the phone with my brother, and he was like, "Dude, that sounds terrible." There was one that was like,
booking your own flight sounds terrible?
No, the ones I was laying out there for him. Like, hey, man, here are my options. Here's what I can choose from. XYZ. And one of them was like 4 stops.
Oh,
like,
no. No.
I'm like, but it's $4. It's like, I'm like, but it's $14 cheaper. And he's like, dude, you do not want to do that. I'm like, what? It's like fly from Madison to O'Hare to Charlotte to Atlanta, and then Atlanta down to Florida.
No.
It's like,
dude, you know what you do? Here's if you want, nonstops are the best, especially in wintertime, because the more chances that you have to land and take off, the more likely there is to be a delay. Because weather is unpredictable, and weather in wintertime, that's the great equalizer here in the Midwest. That's why I will always, when I'm flying, especially in the wintertime, I'll try to get the first flight out always, but especially in the wintertime, I almost insist on it, because once those planes start to get delayed, it becomes an exponential factor. And if you're like the 5th one out and you're going to leave at, 6:35, but that gets pushed to 7, which gets pushed to 7:35. It just gets pushed later and later and later. If you're taking an afternoon flight and they've got to get all of those other flights in front of you out, you're not getting out of there till like 11. So always, if you're traveling, if you're flying in wintertime, always try to take the early flight.
Okay, well, I'm good then. Next Friday, it's a 7 a.m. I am on my way out of Madison, headed to Florida next Friday at 7 a.m.
Okay, so 7 a.m. and stopping in Charlotte. But here's the other thing, though. If you wanted a nonstop, and I'm not, you can always try Chicago. You can always try O'Hare. That one might be, you have to drive there, of course.
Yeah.
But it also might be that $14 cheaper that you're talking about.
You can see that was what it was not cheap enough at either Milwaukee or Chicago to make it worth my while trying to figure out how to get to these individual airports. I'm going to be able to be dropped off here in Madison by my girlfriend and fly pretty easy on Friday morning. I'll be in super late on Monday night, the 22nd. So
Madison's airport is nice because it's small. I've only flown out of there.
Right.
Honestly, I usually fly out of Milwaukee. I've only flown out of Madison a couple of times, but it's got the one terminal. It's nice. It's clean. You can go
getting more busy too, right? There are more and more flights annually that they are looping through Madison. So it used to be pretty expensive from my understanding.
It was. That's one of the reasons that you fly out of Milwaukee when you can, because it's just a little bit cheaper. And that's one of the reasons that you fly out of Chicago, because it's even a little bit cheaper still, believe it or not, than it is Milwaukee. But happy birthday tomorrow. Dave's flying back tomorrow. My parents are flying back today. They're probably in the air. I hope they're in the air right now. I hope they're not delayed, but we'll find out. I'll get a text message at some point saying that we made it or we didn't. So
what? Is Dave on a red eye tomorrow morning?
I don't know. Let's ask him.
How is he going to be back? We'll see.
We'll ask him in the next hour of the program. 2 hours down. We're at halftime. 2 hours to go. Stay with us here on D.N.D. on the Game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1975.
In June of 75, the Bee Gees released the LP Main Course, featuring a more dance-oriented sound, and delivered 3 hit singles, including the number 1 Jive Talkin'. In July, Fleetwood Mac shake things up. They add Americans Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks to the lineup and have a number 1 album. And Wings released the album Venus and Mars, which goes to number 1. Their U.S. tour features Paul McCartney's first live appearance in the U.S. since 1966.
Love is fine for all we know. For all we know, our love will grow. That's what the man said. So won't you listen to what the man said? He said.
In August of 75, the Eagles' 4th album goes to number 1 and has 3 top 5 singles, including the number 1 title track, One of These Nights. And the boss, Bruce Springsteen, is featured on the cover of Time magazine, and Born to Run becomes his breakthrough album, reaching number 3 in the U.S.
Come on with me, chance like us. Baby, we were born to run.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1975. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1967.
Try to set the night out.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to number 2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to number 1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to number 1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
In March of 67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of 67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to number 7 in the U.S., with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. In May, Mitch Ryder hits number 4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1978.
In June of 78, Darkness on the Edge of Town is released, Bruce Springsteen's follow-up to his breakthrough album Born to Run. The album charts at number 5.
In the darkness on the edge of town. In the darkness on the edge of town.
Boston-based band The Cars released their debut album. It goes to number 18. It features the singles Just What I Needed and My Best Friend's Girl.
She's my best friend's girl. But she used to be mine.
In July of 78, the Rolling Stones released Some Girls in the U.S. The album and the single Miss You both hit number 1. In August of 78, Boston released their sophomore album, Don't Look Back. The album goes to number 1 in the U.S., selling 4 million copies in its first month.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1978. Coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Carlos Santana to discuss the value of giving it your all every time.
You know, when you stay with a certain frequency of concentration, laser-like concentration, I learned this from doing a concert with and for the Black Panthers. You know, somebody came in and said they wanted to join in with the Black Panthers, and they looked at him with this look and they said, "Are you ready to die right here, right now for it?" You know, so when you do your comedy and your humor and your imagination, or you play music like that, you get a different sound. You don't get a sound like we have and who we are unless you're committed to it like that, like Buddy Rich or Tony Williams or Elvin Jones. Those people always said, play like it's your first and last time that you're going to play.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Carlos Santana and all your favorite artists.
Listen to us live 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and watch our shows each weekday on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We are the game.
Drop it. He's very knowledgeable, very intelligent guy, very personable guy.
Here's Doug Russell.
You know, when Monty Ball played here, you just knew by watching him that, yeah, this guy's special.
Phillips under his center, Travis Frederick. Takes the snap, toss right side. Monte Ball to the 20, to the 15, ball to the 10, ball to the 5, ball to the end zone. Touchdown, Wisconsin! The NCAA touchdown record belongs to Ball.
Last night, Monty Ball gets his due enshrinement to the College Football Hall of Fame.
It was, first off, such an honor, right? Just to play for a wonderful university, play for a wonderful athletic program. And I think, of course, just buying into the system, right? We had a wonderful coach at the time, Brett B. And just literally listen to his philosophy, understanding the guys that he wanted to put on the team, put the puzzle together, and of course, run the football, something that I wanted to do. And so again, just buying into the philosophy and literally just understanding that in order to improve on the football field, you know, I must study more tape, I must work out harder, I must run faster and get better. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, I didn't edit the tape there. It just dropped out when Brett Bielema's name was mentioned.
Oh, man. I did see a nice post from Brett for Monte on X saying, you know, I'm in bowl prep. I wish I could be there, XYZ. And I know the ending and the situation with Bielema is very much, in a lot of people's opinions, a lot different. But I think you gotta look back at that time very fondly now in hindsight, right?
Brett Bielema was a very successful coach at Wisconsin. He was a very successful coach and certainly continues to be a successful coach at Illinois. It just didn't work out for him in the SEC. He wasn't a very good coach at Arkansas, and there was a lot of schadenfreude with Badgers fans, the way that Bielema struggled. Now, the Gary Anderson era was nothing to write home about, and that was one of Barry's misses, probably maybe his biggest miss, because he can't get the football coach wrong, and he got the football coach wrong. And there's a lot of similarities, I think, to a lot of Badgers fans about how the Gary Anderson era went versus the way that the Luke Fickell era is going. A lot of it has to do with recruiting. A lot of it has to do with not understanding what Wisconsin football has traditionally been about, at least earlier in the tenure of Luke Fickell. You had some breaking news, by the way. There's some changes that are coming on the Wisconsin coaching staff.
This is breaking news.
Big news.
Breaking news. From Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, there is a difference.
Yes, a bit of breaking news within the last hour for the Wisconsin Badgers football team. It is being reported that A.J. Blazik, after 2 years as the offensive line coach, is now on his way out. Wisconsin will be on their third offensive line coach under Luke Fickell and their fifth since 2021, hiring Arkansas O-line coach Eric Mateos today. A little bit of some extended reporting being put out there that there were some maybe cultural disagreements or fundamental disagreements in how Jeff Grimes, the offensive coordinator, a former offensive lineman, O-line coach himself, and A.J. Blazik wanted to go about their business. So Mateos is reportedly more on the same page as what Grimes is looking to establish. He did a hell of a job. Arkansas ranked second this past year, I believe, in the SEC offensive line efficiency. That's a very good conference, and they played a hell of a schedule just like Wisconsin. So fingers crossed that maybe Eric Mateos will stick, unlike the last couple of guys here at Wisconsin. And while we're on breaking news, there is a little bit of MLB breaking news as Pete Alonso and the, drum roll please, Baltimore Orioles are in agreement on a 5-year, $155 million contract. So $5 million more than Schwarber, out of the National League and hopefully out of Brewers fans' nightmares.
Baltimore. That's interesting. Okay.
And they have been apparently also in on Mackenzie Gore, starting pitcher with the Nationals. There have been some extended conversations there about a potential trade to get Gore to Baltimore. So they are being aggressive at the moment. Not to mention there's been significant rumblings about Tarek Skubal being traded to the Dodgers. So we'll see if that happens. I mean, consecutive American League Cy Young winner.
That's just what the Dodgers do. That's why there's a problem with the economics of baseball. If Tarek Skubal and Blake Snell are on the same rotation, and you throw Glasgow in there. Let's see. Who else is in that rotation? My goodness.
Yamamoto.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about him.
Shohei Yamamoto, Roki Sasaki, Glasnow, Snell, and maybe Skubal.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Just award them the Commissioner's Trophy now. That's
Snell
a problem in baseball.
Snell is a 2-time Cy Young winner. Ohtani is an MVP bat, but his pitching is certainly elite as well.
Yeah.
Yamamoto's your World Series MVP, electric postseason for him. Glasnow's very good when healthy. Sasaki's supposed to be the next big thing, and maybe he'll end up being a bullpen arm like we saw in the playoffs. And Skubal's the best pitcher on the planet right now, and that's saying a lot because in division, Paul Skeens exists, and he's been incredible as well.
Wow. Okay.
So, yes, officially, though, nothing yet for Skubal and the Dodgers. Officially, Pete Alonso, 5 years, $155 to head to Baltimore. Good for him. Now, in consecutive days, the Mets have lost Edwin Diaz and Pete Alonso. Really interesting for a team that loves to spend money.
Didn't seem like they wanted either one of those guys back, though, because they signed Devin Williams and Pete Alonso, and the Mets seemingly have been on a collision course to have this separation for.
That's right.
It feels like a couple of years.
Last year, he sat on the open market for a long time, ended up back with the Mets with an opt-out after 1 year, and he opted out, and now he is heading to Baltimore. The Orioles are one of those teams right now where it's like 2 years ago, they were great. I think they were a 100-win team 2 years ago, and then last year they were horrendous, and they have no pitching, and they're spending their money on a big bat. So we'll see.
The volleyball Badgers, they have another day of practice before heading south to Austin for I hope they can get out, for their Sweet 16 matchup against Stanford on Friday. Most of Kelly Sheffield's staff, they're all about preparing for the Cardinal, except for one, Director of Player Personnel and Analytics, Gary White. He's got his eyes, just like the football guys, he's got his eyes on the transfer portal.
You have to have somebody on staff that's kind of paying attention to that, right? The future will be at your doorstep at some point, and you better be prepared for that. And so the key is that how do you organize your staff, your people? And yeah, there's somebody that's certainly doing that. Gary is kind of taking the lead on that. He's not a coach, right? And so he's not out there on the court and doing everything. So we're fortunate that we've got somebody that can kind of pay attention and kind of is knowing when those things are happening. And then if we need to have a conversation, we'll have a conversation.
I like that. The future will be on your doorstep at some point. You better be prepared for it.
Yeah.
A good way
I
of
think
putting
that, you look at this year where they had the 5 players in the all-region first team, and sticks out to me, Mimi Collier, Carter Booth, two very significant transfers. Carter spent the majority of her career here now, but Mimi coming over from Oregon this year, and they've had opportunities to add in the portal just like every other program. And it seems like Wisconsin, I've made this point before, like Wisconsin has reached the Alabama level of football now, though, in volleyball, where like the best players want to end up on your team. And that's what Wisconsin does. They take advantage of really, really talented players who want a new opportunity to take it up a notch, and they end up at Wisconsin. And Grace Egan as well, one of those 5 players honored as a first-team All-Region from Ohio State to Wisconsin this season.
The Badgers and Stanford, they get their Sweet 16 matchup going at 1:30 on Friday afternoon. So we'll keep our eyes on that.
Is there a Ken Palm of Wisconsin or of college volleyball?
I don't know.
I think Wisconsin as a 3 seed is a terrible draw for anybody. I think that injuries factored into the few losses they had this year.
Yeah,
Charlie was out for forever.
Exactly.
And I would not want to see Wisconsin as a 3 seed. And Stanford has never lost, so they're due. They're due to lose to the Badgers.
And they just announced that they're going to have a tournament that they will play against Stanford in Pittsburgh to start next year as well. So Pitt will be in that round robin tournament as well. So that'll be fun to start next year. The baseball winter meeting is still going on in Central Florida. Dave is there. We will check in with him coming up in just a few minutes. Yesterday, he caught up with Brewers manager Pat Murphy, who gets regular questions about whether or not his team needs a big bat in the middle of his lineup.
None of them are easy. None of them are usually done the same way with the same scenario and everything else. But the bottom line is to win games, you know what I mean, and try to win as many games as you can and use your 27 outs the way you use your 27 outs effectively. And it's all kind of snowballs together, and there's a few opportunities here, and you take advantage of those opportunities, and then boom, before you know it, you've won the game.
The great philosopher, Pat Murphy. The Brewers just one of 2 teams to score 800 runs last season in all of baseball. The Dodgers, of course, were the other, but now they've got all that pitching. So, just give them the trophy now. Baseball tonight, basketball tonight, I should say. Big Ten game number 2 for Greg Gard's Badgers at number 23, Nebraska. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. If you're listening in Madison, 1310 WIBA. If you're listening in Milwaukee, 1130 WISN. If you're listening throughout the rest of the state of Wisconsin, check your local listings or find it on the iHeartRadio app. Women's basketball going on against San Diego. NBA action last night, NBA Cup quarterfinals action. The Magic, they beat the Heat 117-108. It was the Knicks, a 117-101 winner over the Raptors in Toronto. Coming up tonight in quarterfinals play, it's the Thunder playing the Suns and the Spurs taking on the Lakers. And that's
all right.
And that's
I love the NBA Cup. I can't get enough of it. I'm lying.
Well, the Bucks are the defending champions, but yeah, so much for that.
Yeah, and LeBron won the first one, right? I mean, the Lakers won the first one and the Bucks won the second one. Now here's year number 3. We'll see. Neither of the teams that have won it so far have gone on to win the NBA championship itself, the NBA finals. So maybe you don't want to win it.
Well, maybe
you don't want that extra game that doesn't count towards your stats on the season.
Okay, but who won the 2022 NBA championship? Was that Denver's year?
Feels about right. Yeah,
I'll look that up.
No, Warriors.
So then the Warriors are going to win because the Lakers won the 2020 NBA championship. The Bucks won the 2021 NBA championship. So if we're using the transitive property.
I hear you. Yeah. It went Warriors, Nuggets.
Warriors,
and
Nuggets. Got it.
Celtics. And then last year was the Thunder. More breaking news, Badger-related. Trećko Kahuna for the second straight year has entered the transfer portal. Is planning on entering. So we'll see. None of these guys are in the portal technically quite yet.
Well,
the window hasn't opened. But they've expressed their intention to enter the portal. Treč did it last year. They convinced him to stay. He got to work with 4 different starting quarterbacks, an abundance of experience, and an offense that can't pass the ball right now. So I don't blame wideouts for leaving. I might shed a tear if Eugene Hilton decides to leave, though, because he's special. He's a special player, and they need to do what it takes to keep him around.
Are we checking in with Dave coming up in a few minutes?
We will check in with Dave here in our following segment, in our next one. Dave is down in Florida, as always, as we've highlighted all week long. I'm interested to hear his reaction to the Pete Alonso news. That's big money for a market in Baltimore that I can't think of going out and getting a big guy in the free agency and how long. I mean, They develop guys and then they let them leave.
All right. Well, we'll check in coming up with Dave Gasper. He is in Orlando, and listen, he picked a good week to go, right? Because, and when you go to Miami, I don't know what next week's forecast is going to look like, but it's going to get cold this weekend, and it's snowing out. It's been gray and snowing for the last 3 days. It seems feels like 3 years almost. I'm done with
and
the
we
snow.
didn't even have snow last year at Christmas.
Right.
Like there was none.
Many years we don't. We've already, because of the snow that we've already gotten, I think that we've already eclipsed what we got last year, because I only fired up the snowblower a couple of times. Now Luddy had to fire it up a couple of times when I was on vacation. I had to hire Luddy to come over and plow my driveway.
Really?
Yeah. I did a good job. I got no qualms about the way that Luddy came over and took care of the driveway and the sidewalk, because
poor guy getting up at 4 a.m. to do the morning show and then going over to Doug's house. And
I paid him.
How much?
I tipped him. Let's see. I think I paid him $50 a pop to do it, and he had to do it twice. And then I paid him $100 and I tipped him $20.
I mean, that's well over his hourly wage. I know it well. So it's good. You're doing well.
I try to take care of the people who take care of me. That's what is. If I have the opportunity to do that, I will take that advantage of that every time I can. So, Dave Gasper's coming up straight ahead. Stay with us. It's D.N.D. Doug, Nick, and Dave, who's again not with us, but will be with us. I think I've over-explained it. He's coming up next on the game.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D. will be back in just a moment.
Milwaukee, home to beer, brats, and baseball. The best fans on the planet known to man. And who could forget those sweet, sweet powder blues? A symbol of blue skies, bat cracks, and ball hawks. To honor that, the team is introducing a blast from the past for the upcoming 2026 season. A blast so big, it might turn you blue. Introducing the brand new powder blue alternate road uniforms. So recognizable, it'll have you reminiscing on County Stadium and Harvey's Wallbangers. Just ask All-Star flamethrower Jacob Mizarowski. How are we feeling, Jacob?
Pretty good.
I must say you look outstanding. And now you too can don the blues, just like Jacob. Available now at your local Brewers team store. Go Brewers.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1974.
In April, Diamond Dogs is a #1 album in the UK for David Bowie. It goes to #5 in the US.
Rebel, rebel, you torn your dress. Rebel, rebel, your face is a mess. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, I love you so.
In June of 1974, Chicago funk band Rufus, featuring lead singer Shaka Khan, score a #3 hit with Tell Me Something Good. UK supergroup Bad Company have a #1 album and a top 5 single, Can't Get Enough.
Can't get enough, enough of your love. I can't get enough, enough of your love. I can't get enough of your love. Yeah, this one, this one.
And Dutch hard rock band Golden Earring have a #13 hit with the single Radar Love.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1974. Coming up.
Here are the top Fleetwood Mac songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Don't Stop.
Don't stop thinking about tomorrow. Don't stop using me. It'll be better than before. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday's gone.
Number 2, Dreams. Number 1, Go Your Own Way.
You can go your own way.
Hear more from Fleetwood Mac and similar artists now. Search for Fleetwood Mac on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top John Mellencamp songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Hurt So Good.
Hurt so good. Come on, baby, make it hurt so good. Sometimes love don't feel like it should, baby. Hurt so good.
Number 2, Small Town.
No, I cannot forget from where it is that I come from. I cannot forget the people who love me. Yeah, I can be myself here in this small town. And people let me be just what I want to be.
Number 1, Jack and Diane.
Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. To walk on.
Hear more from John Mellencamp and similar artists now. Search for John Mellencamp on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
The entire world watched.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And humanity saw that the sky was not the limit. Achievement, pass it on, from the Foundation for a Better Life.
It's summer nights,
Yeah, summertime. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm just trying to make everybody feel a little bit better because summer is not close. It's not going to be right around the corner. But you can remember when it was summertime, right?
Yeah.
It's time to pop that.
Yeah.
We are approaching tonight and into tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be like 10 under. So we
so here's some
opposite
Rascal
of
Flatts.
summer.
It's some white sand. I know the perfect spot.
That's
well,
right.
the sunset better set soon so we can get in the
Yeah.
Things start getting all heated
It's
up.
getting all heated up.
Starts getting cool, yeah. Summer nights. Everybody, are you with me? Let that eagle cool up.
Womp womp.
Well, it's summertime down in Florida.
Yeah, it's always summertime down in Florida. That's where Dave is. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hey guys, it's certainly feeling like summertime down here, and that whole -10 thing, Nick. I hope you're joking there. I mean, I know I've been kind of out of it on all the other stuff, being down here in the winter meetings last couple of days. I mean, -10, what? Next thing you're going to tell me a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers is back in the NFL? Like, what is that, crazy?
The sky's falling.
The sky's falling. Here, have some more Rascal Flatts.
Keep doing y'all's thing.
I see. That'll make you feel better.
I am staring at sunshine and palm trees and a golf course, so I'm not exactly excited about flying back into that cold weather. But I'm going to be enjoying the summer nights feeling here for as long as I can.
All right. So what's going on? We know that Pete Alonso just signed with Baltimore. Did you see that one coming? Because that was weird.
Yeah, I heard a little bit last night that may be a possibility when Scott Boras was talking yesterday to the media and talking about Pete Alonso. Listed off a bunch of teams kind of in his own punny, corny kind of way, and the Orioles were one of the teams that I included there. So kind of surprised it moved that quickly, and the Orioles were able to end up closing the deal. But I mean, when they were willing to go 5 years there, and the Mets were not. It kind of made it easy for Pete Alonso. So it kind of gets us one last kick here at the winter meetings with some movement. So we'll see what else that spurs on here.
Dave, I know you're rooting for it, the salary cap and everything. And I think everyone would be unanimous in the hope that if there is a lockout and games are missed, that it's as small as possible. Tarek Skubal to the Dodgers is starting to become a conversation. And I think that would be both very bad for 2026, but very good for 2027.
Yeah, I think it would be bad for overall the game. Having him get sent there and seeing what it'll go. Now, from everyone that I've talked to, it seems like that Tarek Skubal really is not going anywhere. That the Tigers want to keep him through this year. But if anyone has the ability to pay up for him, it's probably the Dodgers. Because even though they spend like crazy, they also do have the prospects, the farm system, and the players to be able to ship out to make another team think, okay, this deal could be worth it for us, which makes them kind of all that much more dangerous to the game and how they got it set up. So I still ultimately think Skubal stays where he is because the Tigers are planning to be competitive and they don't want him to move on. But it's going to be another conversation piece that's going to fully ring true, no matter what kind of denials the Dodgers put out or the Tigers put out there about it.
I kind of intimated on Monday that I wasn't going to ask you this question until Wednesday because you've been down there for a couple of days and you've gotten the feeling for what the buzz is about what could happen with that collective bargaining agreement. Has there been any discussion about about a doomsday scenario, about a protracted lockout? But what is the buzz down there about that?
Yeah, for that, there hasn't been like too much for discussions. I think there's kind of been a general thought that, there is going to end up being a lockout and there is going to be that kind of a push. There hasn't really been too much new on that front. There may have been some meetings between labor leaders and the league, just kind of, informally to kind of get started on those CBA negotiations. They've already met a little bit previously, just kind of preliminary meetings about it. They'll start kind of more in earnest on that subject next year, early part of the season, once the year gets underway, especially in like spring training. That's when those will really start kicking off. But there's certainly angst among the people here about how there's most likely going to be a lockout coming in 2027.
Dave, there've been rumblings for months now about the potential of moving Freddie Peralta in the offseason, but a couple of other arms, Trevor McGill and Nick Mears, are more in the spotlight in the last couple of days. As you look at that position, specifically back into the bullpen, they've got so many options. Would you be surprised if they did not move off of one of McGill, Mears, or maybe another guy?
Maybe mildly surprised if they don't move off one of them. I think it makes a ton of sense to move McGill at this point with the price for closers right now, the amount of teams that are looking for one, and the lack of really kind of proven ones out on the market. Because now that we saw Edwin Diaz go yesterday, Kyle Finnegan went as well. Gregory Soto, he went off the board. So that's three relievers off, and there's still a bunch of teams looking for those high-end type guys. You only got really Robert Suarez and Pete Fairbanks as proven closers out there as possibilities. And especially with Edwin Diaz leaving the Mets, I think that opens up their desire more for someone like Trevor McGill. So I could absolutely see that happening, and I think it should. I ultimately don't think Nick Mears ends up going anywhere. They can receive calls, and Nick Mears is pretty good, and I'm sure he's warming up in the bullpen somewhere right now because that's just what he does. But ultimately, I think Mears ends up staying, and McGill is the one. If they end up creating a reliever, it would be McGill.
So we've talked about Freddie Peralta. We've talked now about Trevor McGill. These are subtractions that would be taken off of the Brewers' 97 wins team from 2025. Do you see any additions? I know they're not going to make a huge, like Pete Alonso, $100 million splash or anything like that. Nobody's expecting that. Do you see any additions that could come to the Brewers of major league players?
Yeah, I think, if you do make any of those trades, I think they're going to be trying to get back someone to be on that major league roster, whether it's another reliever or whether it's filling whatever other need that Matt Arnold sees for this team. I think a trade of either of those players would garner those guys back. And I think maybe some fringe additions. I could see them pulling in a backup catcher to kind of help with Jefferson Caro because Caro has no MLB experience at this point, and you still kind of aren't sure where his defense is at. So grabbing someone there, I think, makes some sense. Maybe a veteran infielder, to kind of be a utility guy along with Monasterio and Siegler to provide some extra depth there. But yeah, it's largely going to be the fringes. It's going to be, a bullpen arm or two. It's going to be maybe a backup catcher. We've heard that they're in that market. Maybe a utility infielder. But that's probably the extent of where they end up making those big additions, or making those additions in free agency, and whatever big needs they might have. I think you're going to look at with a return in a trade, kind of similar to last year when third base was kind of a need, and they filled it by trading Devin Williams and getting Caleb Durbin.
Dave, I know you interacted with Matt Pauley down there, and we were just talking about the Cardinals earlier today and what direction they're going in, because it's unclear. They got some of the older assets that are available. Maybe they move off Arenado. It sounds like that would be the case. But they also got a lot of young guys that you think that might be good. What is the buzz, in your opinion, about this division as a whole? I have to imagine a lot of complimentary conversations about Milwaukee and some lesser about other teams like the Cardinals.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of respect around the league and the division for the Brewers and what they've been able to do. The Cardinals, they're heading towards a reset. Yeah, yes, they have those older players, but they are trying to ship them off as best as they can. They want to trade Arenado. They want to trade Contreras. They want to trade all their kind of older guys on the big time contracts, make room for that next wave. That's really kind of been their priority. The tough part for them has been trying to find takers with the contracts for some of those guys and trying to get decent value out of them. So, I think for that, the Cardinals are heading towards that reset, that rebuild there. The Pirates, everyone's kind of skeptical of them spending more money and finally figuring things out and putting things together. The Reds, I think there's some excitement for what they might end up putting together, but also some skepticism about how much they'll spend. So, and then that leaves the Cubs, who are probably going to lose Kyle Tucker and are going to try and figure out how to continue to build a roster and make it more competitive to compete with the Brewers and the NL Central after losing it by 5 games this year, even with Kyle Tucker.
What's the schedule down there? I know you're flying home early tomorrow morning, late tonight.
Late tonight, yeah.
Late tonight, okay. How long do these things go? I mean, obviously discussions will continue between teams, but they perhaps were started down in Orlando at the winter meetings. What's the formality in terms of what's left to do down there?
Yeah, in terms of what's left, coming up in about, about a half an hour is the Rule 5 draft, and that's traditionally the closing ceremonies here at the winter meeting. So that's going to be getting underway. Major League phase, minor league phase. We'll see if the Brewers end up picking anyone. I doubt it. At least in the Major League phase, I doubt that they pick anyone. They got a spot open, but they have the last pick in the draft, last pick in the round. So we'll see what they end up doing, but that's typically your final step here, the closing ceremonies. Execs are going to be checking out, and everyone's going to be heading to the Orlando airport to MCO, and going to be heading home afterwards.
Does that mean that the lazy river then is going to be a lot more open for you to float down?
They drain it, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Lazy river is going to be wide open.
Nice.
Wide
That's
open.
good.
I
So,
like that.
I'll have to take a quick dip, before we go.
Any shenanigans that we should be aware of that have gone on between you and the rest of the scribes that are down there?
Well, I haven't needed bail money yet, so that's a good start.
Knock on wood.
Yep.
Well, it's still,
Yep.
There's still a little ways to go. You still have
trying
the Rule 5 draft is coming up, so I know things get wild there. So
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, it is a wild time for sure. Me and JJ Cooper just going crazy as the absolute sickos, trying to actually enjoy it. There's some good times, just kind of hanging around. You're seeing, execs talk to each other and just kind of seeing conversations unfold. And, you see some big time names walking around. It's like, oh, hey, wait a minute, I recognize that guy. So, it's been fun the last couple of nights and just kind of seeing basically, everyone in baseball. I'm surrounded by baseball nerds, and it is the absolute best.
Yeah, you are a baseball degenerate, and I mean that in the best
Wow.
possible,
You
way.
mean it lovingly? Yeah,
I do. Yeah,
It's a good tag.
Yeah, it's yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Doug,
Yeah.
is there a
Imagine
chance
a
you're?
hotel ballroom full of thousands of me? You know,
That's right.
like-
You're still taller than almost all of them, I'm sure.
What was that?
yeah, it might be Doug's worst nightmare, actually. You know,
No. That'd be fine.
I just wasn't sure,
Yeah.
Doug, if you had said your folks were flying today or not. So they might cross paths. Is that a possibility?
I think they're taking an earlier flight. I believe that they are. You know what?
He's tracking.
Yeah,
find your parents. If you could find the Doug Russell parents, Dave, it would be a great help.
Yeah, take a picture. I think they're taking an earlier flight, though. I believe that they are probably either at the airport or in the air right now.
That's all right. That's
okay.
all right.
Okay. Probably missed them then.
We were joking about you potentially booting his dad out of a seat earlier today.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Hey, thankfully on my flight down here, the exit row was wide open, so it didn't have any concerns with that.
Nice.
So
That's rare going from Milwaukee to Orlando this time of year.
yeah, exactly. Well, there's so many families heading to Disney World with their small kids; they couldn't be in the exit row, so left it wide open.
Yep, that's true.
Lucky.
That is true.
Yeah,
So
we're right next to Disney World. We got Disney Springs right up the road. Like it's all right over there.
I know that area probably better than I should. The takeaway that I have from your time at the winter meetings is that Scott Boras is a cornball. What is your takeaway as you leave Orlando and start to head back to Milwaukee?
Well, I think that's a great takeaway. Scott Boras is an absolute cornball. I think from this, I mean, this is just kind of just such a great event, where it's just everyone in baseball all gets together, and seemingly everyone, knows each other. You can just kind of walk up to really kind of anyone in baseball, be able to strike up a conversation. I mean, it is fantastic. It is a wonderful event every single year, getting down here and somewhere warm, getting everyone together and just talking baseball. And
is it always in Orlando?
The transaction happen. No, not always in Orlando. It moves around from year to year. Last year it was in Dallas. Sometimes it's in San Diego. It's all over the place. But it's truly a great event, and you see really just so much activity. Just the GMs talking to each other, all the agents down here as well, a bunch of players, just kind of seeing everyone. I mean, that's I think the takeaway is just such a great event for baseball. I wish they marketed it a little bit more. Wanting to get more media coverage down here. I think it's great. And
that'd be helpful.
When you get these kinds of moves like Pete Alonso, I mean, seeing everyone run about. I mean, when I was there for Scott Boras and Edwin Diaz goes, and half the New York media just immediately has to bolt and run away from Scott Boras. I mean, it was incredible. It was so fun. So yeah, it's truly a great event, and it's been real fun being here.
Excellent. Well, safe travels home. Good work down there, and we will see you tomorrow. And you'll be back piloting the space shuttle, because how I haven't driven this thing into Lake Michigan is a damn miracle.
Okay, I handed you the keys, and you haven't crashed the car quite yet. But
well, there's still an hour and a half to go.
Maybe
there's still an hour and a half to go. Anything can happen.
Okay. Yeah. Don't celebrate too soon. Don't celebrate too soon.
Right. There's no question. I mean, listen, I lost Wayne Larrivee the first minute of the show today, so that was awesome.
Oh, no.
So
okay.
We had
the no-hitter is lost early on
the first pitch, literally the first pitch of the game.
You pulled a Nestor Cortez. Yeah.
Over and over and over again. So, all right. So just go float down the lazy river. Enjoy the Rule 5 draft, and we'll see you tomorrow.
I appreciate it, boys. See you tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Play him out with some Rascal Flats as well, because, man, there's nothing like summer. Like, what'd you say, 10 below on the wind chill there, Nick?
Yeah, I was a little early on it. It looks like it's going to happen this weekend.
Okay.
Thursday night into Friday and Saturday into Sunday is going to be very cold. Feels like minus 20 on a couple days.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as we go gentle into that good night, as we approach Christmas, it's just going to get colder and colder and colder. That's all right, though. It's December.
That's right.
It makes these summer nights all the more worth it. We'll hit up the talk and text line coming up straight ahead. Stay with us. One more segment this hour. We will hear back from Wayne Larrivee coming up in our final hour. In case you missed that conversation, we'll play it back for you as the Packers get set to take on the Broncos. All that and more. Bruiser's Bites coming up at the top of the hour. Got lots to get to. Stay with us. It's D&D on the game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game. What does the future hold for our beloved Giannis?
Giannis Antetokounmpo and his agent, Alex Saratas, have started open conversations that are active right now with the Milwaukee Bucks about the realities of whether his future is best staying in Milwaukee or the realities of moving on elsewhere.
Make sure to stay tuned as we're discussing the latest regarding the Bucks icon here on The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1976.
Bob Dylan releases his album Desire. It goes to #1 in the States, thanks mainly to significant radio airplay for the single Hurricane.
Couldn't help but make me feel ashamed to live in a land where justice is a game.
Scottish sensations, the Bay City Rollers, finally score a hit in the U.S. with the #1 single Saturday Night.
Saturday
In February, former Steve Miller Band member Boz Scaggs has a #2 U.S. album with Silk Degrees. Peter Frampton hits #1 with his double live album Frampton Comes Alive. It would become the best-selling album of 1976.
I want you, show me the way, every day. I want you, show me the way, night and day.
In March, Irish hard rockers Thin Lizzy's 6th album, Jailbreak, scores them a #12 hit single with The Boys Are Back in Town.
The boys are back in town again. Been hanging down at Dino's.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1976 coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1978.
In June of '78, Darkness on the Edge of Town is released, Bruce Springsteen's follow-up to his breakthrough album Born to Run. The album charts at #5.
In the darkness on the edge of town. In the darkness on the edge of town.
Boston-based band The Cars released their debut album. It goes to #18. It features the singles Just What I Needed and My Best Friend's Girl.
She's my best friend's girl. But you used to be mine.
In July of '78, the Rolling Stones released Some Girls in the U.S. The album and the single Miss You both hit #1. In August of '78, Boston released their sophomore album, Don't Look Back. The album goes to #1 in the U.S., selling 4 million copies in its first month.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1978 coming up.
iHeartRadio.
Here are the top Eagles songs that you've thumbed up.
Number 3, Life in the Fast Lane.
He was too tired, and she was too tired to fight about it. Life in the fast lane, surely make you lose your mind. Life in the fast lane, life in the fast lane, everything, all the time.
Number 2,
Take It Easy.
Take it easy, take it easy. Don't let the sound of your own wheels make you crazy. Come on, baby, don't say maybe.
Number 1, Hotel California.
There were voices down the corridor. I thought I heard them say, welcome to the Hotel California. Such a lovely place, such a lovely place, such a lovely place.
Hear more from the Eagles and similar artists now. Search for the Eagles on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free. Did you know your home can cause twice the greenhouse gases of your car? It's true. The good news is you can help with Energy Star. The EPA urges you to take steps to reduce your home energy bills and make a big difference in the fight against air pollution. Visit EnergyStar.gov.
D&D continues for this Wednesday, December 10th. Thanks to Dave Gasper for joining us in Orlando at the baseball winter meetings. He sent us a picture where he was joining us on the telephone, Nick, and you responded with a picture of outside of your studio. And listen, you're going to be in Miami next week, right?
That is my belief, yes.
So you'll be fine. Miami's
I'm looking forward to it.
Miami's
Honestly,
nicer than Orlando. Listen,
there's something calming about what we have going on here. I mean, there's just a lot of white. You know, if you like the color white, you might love where you are.
I like white. I don't know that I loved all the gray that we've been seeing in the skies, though, the last week or so.
It's winter, you know.
I know.
That's just how it goes. At least we don't live in Alaska, right? I mean, they're in the midst of like the 50-day stretch without any sunlight or whatever they have.
It's a good point. But the flip side, though, is summers in Alaska are beautiful.
Well, that's the thing here. I mean, that's why people stay here.
True.
I mean, they love Wisconsin summers, so they don't move and get rid of their winters, which are hell.
Listen, we don't have hurricanes. We don't have, we have some tornadoes, but we don't have earthquakes. We don't have many of that. We don't have mass brush fires, forest fires, like they had in California earlier this year.
No tsunamis, no sharks.
No sharks, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of advantages to living in Wisconsin.
No gators.
No gators. December is not one of them. December can be challenging. January can be challenging. That's why we've got football to warm the cockles of the heart. I think that's why football means more, perhaps, here in Wisconsin than it does somewhere else. Although other places will challenge you for that. But I think that in Wisconsin, we've shown that every time I go on social media and somebody walks into Lambeau Field for the first time, and it's been their bucket list. That's why they put the sign on the wall at Lambeau Field. Today is someone's bucket list. And it really is true because every game, and I think really every day, because they have so many tours that go through the place, it's going to be the only opportunity that somebody gets to go to Lambeau Field in their entire lifetimes, even if they've been a lifelong Packers fan. So got to make it special. And
that's right.
Special last week.
And honestly, we're spoiled still here in the southern portion of the state. So, I mean, up north, those are the real Wisconsinites, if I'm being honest. Everyone's a Wisconsinite, but those folks that live well up north and you see the regular, 8 inches of snow, and it's like, oh, it's only 2 here.
They are the hardy folks that
That's
live in the northern part.
They're the backbone.
Let's see. Wayne in Nash Vegas, a couple of texts that he writes. The question that we had earlier in the show was with Phillip Rivers coming back to the Indianapolis Colts. Today, his first practice since 2020. The familiar number 17. Yeah, good for him. 44 years old. He is a grandfather, the second grandfather to ever play football in the National Football League. Wayne writes, I know he's older now and been out of football for years, but I think the gravedigger, Gilbert Brown, would be awesome.
Right.
Okay.
It'd be very helpful.
Yeah, boy, they need some help stopping the run. The
That's
gravedigger
right.
was good at that. He also writes that the baseball winter meetings have been at the Opryland Hotel in Nashville. So I agree with Dave. I wish that they would, I guess, promote it a little bit more and get a little bit more buzz, because there just really isn't, except for among the hardcore baseball community. There's a little bit about, the sports community is like, okay, it's football season. You've got the college football playoffs, which were just announced earlier this week. The NFL is in their final 4 weeks, and playoff positioning and jockeying is going on. You've got college basketball, which is really starting to ramp up. You got the NBA, which the NBA Cup is, they're still trying to make that a thing, I suppose. It just gets lost in the shuffle. But if you're in the baseball, the hardcore baseball degenerate community like Dave, this is your, it doesn't matter where it is. It could be in Disneyland. It doesn't matter what it is. You want to be there when Scott Boras is telling us cornball jokes. So,
yeah, and it is a unique thing. Does the NFL have a off-season meetings place?
Not really. I mean,
The
they have
NBA or the combine. I mean,
the combine is probably the closest thing to it, but they do have off-season meetings. They do have general managers meetings. They do have owners meetings, and the beat writers do go to, like Matt Schneidman will go to things like that, but it's not really available to anybody else that's not outside the hardcore football community. So similar, but everybody gathers at the combine. I was at the combine last year, and there were on Radio Row, there were 80 stations that were doing something from the scouting combine. The Super Bowl, because you know where it's going to be years in advance, unlike the World Series for obvious reasons. The Super Bowl, you've got Radio Row. There's going to be 100 radio stations that are going to be there from all over the world. It doesn't matter if your team is there or not. There are some stations that are going to be there just to take in the spectacle, and they've made it something that has been a part of their yearly plans, and it's something that they all look forward to. The chance to, you get to sit down with Joe Montana. He's got to pitch whatever he's pitching. Usually it's, wonderful pistachios or something like that. So you let him get his pitch in, and then you get to ask him a couple of questions, and then you get to say that I had Joe Montana on my show. So that's the appeal to that. I don't think it's great programming if your team isn't there. If your team is there, absolutely 100% got to do it. But if your team's not there, it's more of a stroke for the hosts than anything else, if I'm being honest.
What, you didn't enjoy meeting Joey Grozade of The Bachelor last year? I know Hunter did.
I was not on that. I did not make the travel roster for that. So
I
have met.
Neither did I.
In years past, let's see. I met Adam Sandler one time.
Well, that's a win.
At Radio Row. Nicest guy in the world. When Tim Tebow was still trying to play, he had the biggest, by the entourage of anyone. So there's like Joe Montana over here, John Elway over here. As I mentioned, Adam Sandler was at the same one. Miss America was there. I think Kate Upton was there. Jenny McCarthy. I mean, this was like 15 years ago, the last Super Bowl that I was at. So it was like one A-lister after another, after another, after another. The biggest entourage by far was Tim Tebow. He had like 15 people with him. He's like the damn Pied Piper. Meanwhile, over here is Brooklyn Decker with his one handler. So,
well, I mean, Tim was a superstar.
Joe Montana was a superstar. Joe Montana had a guy with a clipboard that he checked in with. Where do I go next? Tebow was like crazy. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. Whatever he's pushing.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, it's interesting. I know last year the fellows who went down to New Orleans had a pretty good time, but the Packers weren't in it, and you don't get as much out of it.
But
you
they
had the
did break
ability
some
to
that Josh Jacobs interview.
They did.
That
was
viral.
huge. That was huge, and they never got a wide receiver one. So that's like is a moot point. I mean, hey, we need a wide receiver one. All right, well, we're going to draft a guy in the first round. He's not going to develop immediately. It's going to take some time. He's hurt, and maybe Christian Watson is that guy. But the whole point of that was Josh essentially calling out the team, saying we got a lot of really good players in that wide receiver room, but we need a guy. And right now, someone's going to emerge. Maybe it's Watson, or maybe they'll get a guy.
Maybe the guy that emerged that they were missing was on the other side of the ball. And
Micah Parsons?
Yeah, just didn't know it at the time.
Line him up at wideout?
I'm saying not line him up at wideout, but
I know. He was the difference maker.
What they needed to do was get Christian Watson back, and it seems like he's healthy because of the way that, I mean, you saw on that slant that he just outran everyone to get to the end zone for that second touchdown for the Packers on Sunday. He didn't look like a guy, and we talked about it with Wayne, and we'll play that conversation back coming up in the next hour. He didn't look like a guy who was, suffered a torn ACL a year ago against the same team on the same field. Didn't look like that at all.
No, definitely not. He looked and has looked very strong since the moment he came back. I mean, at practice when he first got out there, I think that most were surprised by, how good he looked. It was like, all right, let's see what he can do. Whoa, hey, he's going to come back sooner than we thought. He tore his ACL in January, and he's back by October. Wow.
Looked good in training camp. Didn't do anything but lateral movement, but
sure.
Still looked, I mean, he was out there. He's a workout freak. The coaching staff loves him. He's smart. The only question, he's had two questions his entire career. Can he hang on to the ball? Well, he's shown a propensity to do that. And can he stay healthy? Now he's just got to fulfill that end of the promise because, the sample size that he's had since he's been back has been spectacular. Just gotta keep that up. Gotta, be consistent, and then maybe that injury-prone label will start to go away. On the talk and text line, by the way, Asian Crystalina, he's very proud of you because you are adulting. You made your own travel reservations. So
yeah,
good on you. Good on you.
I've still only booked a hotel a couple times for myself. I mean, there's a lot of things I've just never done. This is the first time I've been able to book my own plane tickets. I've been fortunate. Every time I've traveled, it's been like, hey, you want to come on down to Florida and see me? Yeah, sure. I'd love to, bro. And he'd be like, all right, when do you want to come? And then it'd be like, here are the days. And he'd be like, all right, I set you up. Here are your plane tickets. Oh, cool. Didn't even have to worry about it. You figured it out for me. So yeah, I mean, it's a moment. I grew one extra hair on my chest a couple days ago that I was able to accomplish that feat.
We have a division of labor in my house. Erica takes care of the airlines and the hotels. I do the itinerary and the pet sitter / house sitter and the rental cars. So
look at you splitting it right down the middle. Have you seen that video trend at all where it's like, hi, I'm Doug and I did this.
Yeah,
and it's
I
like,
see that.
Hi, I'm Erica, and then it cuts.
Right.
Hi, I'm Doug and I set up the hotel.
Yeah. It's very funny. I get a chuckle out of it. That's not the way we do it in our house, though. We have a good division of labor. We got to go to, but I have seen that. It's very, very funny. All right, Bruiser's Bites coming up straight ahead. Final hour of D&D for this Wednesday is also straight ahead. We'll also hear from Wayne Larrabee in case you missed that conversation. I'm Doug. He's Nick. Stay with us on the Game Radio Network.
You are listening to D&D with Doug, Nick, and Dave.
This pains me to say this, but Dave's right.
Hey, why does that pain you to say? I'm right quite a bit, I think.
Middays here on the Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1977.
In February of 77, 60s band leader Manfred Mann has a new band and scores a U.S. #1 hit with a cover of Bruce Springsteen's song Blinded by the Light. In March, Foreigner released their debut album. It goes to #4 in the U.S., driven by 2 top 10 singles, Cold as Ice and Feels Like the First Time. Philadelphia blue-eyed soul duo Hall & Oates have their first U.S. #1 with Rich Girl from their 5th album, Bigger Than the Both of Us. Fleetwood Mac's album Rumors is released. It's their second #1 album in a row in the U.S., dominating the charts at #1 for 31 weeks. It spawns 4 top 10 singles, including the #1 Dreams.
When the rain washes you clean, you know.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1977. Coming up.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Foreigner songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Hot Blooded.
I show you loving like you never knew. That's why I'm hot-blooded. Check it and see. Feel the fever burning inside of me. Come on, baby, do you do more than dance?
Number 2, I Want to Know What Love Is.
Change this lonely life. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me.
Number 1, Cold as Ice.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Hear more from Foreigner and similar artists now. Search for Foreigner on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Prince songs you've thumbed up. Number 3, Little Red Corvette.
It was Saturday night. I guess that makes it all right. You say, baby, I ain't got enough gas. Oh, yeah. Little red Corvette. Baby, I'm
2, 1999.
2000 party over, oops, out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999.
Number 1, When Doves Cry.
Baby, you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Hear more from Prince and similar artists now. Search for Prince on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight. 1973.
Ain't it time we said goodbye?
The Rolling Stones are back on top with the number one album in the U.S. and the UK and a number one single, Angie.
Come on, baby.
Let's Get It On is a number one single and a number two album for Marvin Gaye. Also in August of 73, Stevie Wonder is back with the number 4 album, Inner Visions. And Florida band Leonard Skinner released their debut album, had a top 20 hit with Freebird and tour opening for The Who.
Won't you fly, Freebird, yeah.
Fast forward to October, where on their 8th album, the Steve Miller Band debut a smooth blues rock sound and score a number one hit with The Joker.
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I sure don't want to hurt no one.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
What you waiting for? Let's go. Make sure to make us a preset on the iHeartRadio app so you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Wisconsin's home for sports and stuff. We are the Game.
Final hour, D.N.D. here, all on the Game Radio Network. Thanks to Dave Gasper for joining us in the last hour of the program from Orlando. Now he gets to sit through the Rule 5 draft, which, hey, listen, everybody's got their own hobbies, right? And then he
loves
hop on a
it.
plane. I know. Listen, everybody's got their thing. And the baseball winter meetings has been Dave's thing forever. He wanted to go down last year, and then he first came up with the idea of trying to go down there this year. I think he's right, though. I think they need to expand it a little bit more and make it a little bit more media friendly, because I talked to Drew about it, and Drew, all the years that he was there, and Drew is more of a journalist than he is a baseball nut. He loves baseball, of course, but Dave is just a baseball. He's just insane about baseball. I like baseball. I love baseball. Dave's crazy about baseball.
Yeah.
But I asked Drew about, so what are the winter meetings like? He's like, it's just a bunch of standing around waiting for somebody to show up and say something, but it's a lot of standing around in a lobby for 18 hours a day. Okay. I guess some guys like that, and some guys like it a little bit less than others. No judgment.
That is right.
Exactly.
You got the buzzer from my email. A celebration of your great point. Let's see who emailed me. That's the real question. Oh, it's an iHeart True Crime Podcast email promo.
Good. I'm glad I don't have enough iHeart emails that that filter in through our box every day.
Just the one time today too that I would have my PC audio on as we get ready to go for the final hour.
All right, let's get into it. It's time now for Bruiser's Bites.
Time now for Bruiser's Bites.
Yes, it is that time of day. It's Bruiser's Bites time as we get you through the middle of your work week. We are now 3 hours in, 1 hour to go on our Wednesday edition of D.N.D. With the 1 hour off on Tuesdays, what is our exact midway point? That's the question, right? We have 19 hours on air, so it would be 9.5 hours into the week, which would mean
that would be
7 and then 2.5 in. We're already past our midway point. It happened at 12:30 today.
Hey, we're an hour and a half past that. Wait, no, half an hour past that.
There we go. It's all good. Math is hard. Time is hard. I mean, why is it all on a 60-minute schedule? Everything else is 100. I do not know. We'll transition, though, into Brewster's Bites, as always, here in the final hour. And they're brought to you by Wisconsin Concrete Coatings, wiconcretecoatings.com. This is the time of year that you're going to wish you would have already done it. Gotten that polyurea coating on your garage floors. It'll protect your flooring. It'll make it slip resistant when wet, skid resistant. So you didn't do it this year, but make sure you try and do it for next year, because winter comes famously every year. So WI Concrete, check them out there, wiconcretecoatings.com. We'll start with a greater Green Bay Packers conversation, specifically about the quarterback Jordan Love. And here's Colin Cowherd, a little bit longer, but it's a lot of love. So we'll hear what Colin had to say about Jordan Love in year 3 as the Packers starter.
So Jordan Love is now finally making a surge toward the MVP odds. It's really interesting, and I'm guilty of this. We tend to crown young quarterbacks probably before they need to be crowned. I loved Bo Nix as a rookie. He still had a lot of growth. Jaden Daniels, I'm like, that's the best rookie quarterback I've ever seen. There's only one quarterback in the NFL, it feels like, is the opposite, who's been great for several years, and nobody will crown him. Jordan Love of the Packers. I would call it the Colin criteria. There are certain things I love, and he checks all the boxes. His hat's on forward. He's great at the podium. He's big. I like traits. Short memory after bad interceptions. He's mobile, but actually prefers the pocket. He's aggressive on the deep ball. He loves to throw it deep, spreads the ball around to teammates, never gets in trouble at the podium. Yet outside of Wisconsin, people are really, whoa. I text last night a GM in the league, and I said, if you had Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love both available on the market, he said, come on, 6'4", 220, doesn't throw picks, doesn't need a great O-line. He's like, every GM in the league would take Jordan Love.
A lot of positivity coming from a guy who, before his first year as a starter, said the guy can't play. So Colin has come a long way to now be super appreciative of Jordan Love, number 10 in Green Bay, green and gold. At this point, if he is underappreciated in the league, will the league take notice of him with the stretch run the rest of the way, in your opinion?
I guess it depends on number one, how he plays. But number two, I think it depends on, are you asking people in the league or are you asking people outside of the league? One of the things that I'd like to hear from Colin Cowherd is when he said, and I'm guilty of this too. Yeah, you are. I think most of the national media is. I've always said about any quarterback, you know what my criteria are, and it doesn't have anything to do with what he does at the podium. And Jordan Love is, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit. He doesn't get into trouble on the podium. He's okay at the podium. He doesn't. Yeah. He's not spectacular.
Doesn't give you a lot.
He doesn't give you much.
But he wears his hat forward when he wears the hat. You know, Colin hates the guys who wears the hat backwards. He hates backwards hat.
Must have hated Ken Griffey Jr. then. How'd that work out?
Huh. Well, he is a Washington native, so maybe right. Colin let that one slide, but he didn't like. I think this all started. Carson Wentz used to wear a backwards hat at the podium, and he hated it.
A ridiculous litmus test for somebody.
He's like, you're not a grown man if you wear your hat backwards.
Okay, Colin. My feelings on Colin Cowherd are pretty well documented, but I'll take anybody who comes correct from the standpoint that says maybe I'm guilty of this too, because maybe you are, because this is what, national media, how you get your attention. This is how you get paid. This is how you get all the attention. Like a guy like Adam Shine, who literally said, I loathe Jordan Love. He can't play. Literally said that on a show. I mean, it's just so disingenuous and stupid and wrong that when he comes back around and has this hot take on whoever the next guy is, just doesn't have any damn credibility. So I am glad at least to see that there's some recognition of these hot takes that don't go anywhere. But getting back to your question, it depends on how he plays. I think everybody's standing up and taking notice right now because he's playing such good football. And there's still 4 weeks left to go. And you can't win the MVP in 4 weeks, but you sure can lose it. And that's where Jordan Love kind of is right now. Is he in the conversation? Yeah. Do I think that he's going to get some MVP votes this year? I do. And that's been my litmus test, or one of my 2 litmus tests, as to whether or not a quarterback, or any player for that matter, well, mostly quarterbacks because they're the ones that get the votes for MVP, is quote unquote elite. if you're an elite quarterback in the league, and maybe my bar is set higher than many others, but that's fine. It's my bar, not anybody else's. You have to, at least at some point, have garnered some MVP votes and have led your team into the championship round of your conference. You have to be one of the final 4 teams that are standing, and you have had to have led your team there. Jordan Love hasn't knocked either one of those barriers down yet, but he's also only in his 3rd year of starting as the Packers quarterback. That's when Aaron Rodgers started to knock some of these things down. That's when Brett Favre started to knock some of these things down, and they both turned into elite quarterbacks. I don't know what the next 10 years of Jordan Love's career is going to look like. I do know that the trajectory that he's on right now is very similar to that of his predecessor, which was one that was an impossible hurdle to clear because of what he did before his predecessor. To have 30-plus years and 3 straight quarterbacks that are on this, 2 have done it. One is on the trajectory to do it. It's unheard of in the NFL, and that's why there are other teams, especially the ones in the NFC North, that actually hate the Green Bay Packers and everything that they stand for, because, my God, first you had Favre, and we had to live through 15 years of that. Then Rodgers, we had to live through 15 years of that. Now you got this kid. Mm-hmm. Early returns are good, but, yeah, now he's just got to go out and finish the job. And, I have confidence that he can do it, but, yeah, it's how much praise he gets by the end of the season is going to be pretty much entirely dependent upon how well he plays, as well he should. That's what these games are important. This is how quarterbacks are judged, and that's whether that's fair or not. I think it is fair, but that's how you're judged.
Talking about playing well, real quick, the Wisconsin women's basketball team defeats San Diego 74-46 today, and
Dominant.
Reportedly there was quite the crowd pop from the kids when Wisconsin got their 67th point.
Look at them early. Got to do that. And you know what? The kids
6'7",
that were there
6'7".
that had a good time today, they're going to want to come back without their school groups. They're going to go. Many of them, I don't know, I don't have a percentage, but many of them are going to go home and say, I had a great time at the Wisconsin women's basketball game. Can we go to another one? And that's so crucial for growing that sport, which has grown in a lot of places, but hasn't grown in Madison yet. All the other ones seemingly have. Women's basketball still plays to a mostly empty Kohl Center crowd, but let's get some butts in the seats there.
Transitioning to the NBA, there were a couple of NBA insiders on their respective networks talking about the Giannis situation yesterday. You'll hear both Shams and Chris Haynes on Giannis and where things are at this exact moment.
Wins and losses. That's the nature of the business right now in Milwaukee. Giannis Antetokounmpo wants to play and compete for a second NBA championship. This is a Bucks team right now that's playing and competing for a back-end play-in tournament slot. And so they're 10-15 right now. Conversations are active and open as of last week between Giannis' side, his agent Alex Saratsas, and the Milwaukee Bucks. And my understanding is the locker room can also feel the tension at play here and the harder dialogue that could occur, how this team shapes up. The rest of this month, they have 6 of their next 9 games on the road. So this is a tough schedule coming up that the Bucks have. So it'll come down to wins and losses, how this team looks before the February 5th NBA trade deadline.
So with rumors going on, rumors swirling rampant right now on Giannis Antetokounmpo and his future, sources have relayed to me that Giannis Antetokounmpo addressed some of his teammates recently to stress the importance of focusing on basketball and not to allow outside distractions to interfere with the process at hand. And, I was told that his point was that he's here at the time being wanting to get better, wanting to make sure he gets his game back on point, make sure he gets back from this injury. But he understood and he relayed the message that he can't control what goes on or what even happens to him. So obviously things are getting loud to a certain point where he felt like he had to address some of his teammates. So we shall see what happens from here on out.
It's my opinion that Giannis doesn't necessarily owe the Bucks much of anything, right? The Bucks have been very fortunate to have had such a superstar who's been so great with the organization and in the community for as long as he has been. But at some point, it becomes a great distraction and a problem for those that are going to be Bucks moving forward and are Bucks on the court this season. So how does Giannis go about this situation where he can essentially be the best teammate possible?
Oh, I think that's the first rule of any team sports, right? You have to be a good teammate. And if you're the leader of the team and you see something, it's almost like, Dave's going to the airport later on today. You're going to the airport next week. What do they say? If you see something, say something. If he sees something, because listen, there aren't that many guys in that locker room who have the pelts on the wall that nobody has as many as he has, whether it's MVPs, whether it's DPOYs, whether it's most improved players, whether it's an NBA championship, whether it's 2 league MVPs. He's got the cachet. He's got the resume to be a leader in that locker room. And if he sees something that isn't going the way that he thinks that it should, or if it's distractions or effort or things like that, he's got not only the right, but also the responsibility as someone who has all of that on his resume, future Hall of Famer, to say, hey, look, we can be better. I've got to be better. I got to get back and get my game on point. I've got to get healthy from this injury. I know that I've been banged up this year, but you also have to take care of your business as well. So Giannis has always been someone who stands on business. He's going to continue to do so. And listen, I don't think he's going to put up with any crap in that locker room. And as the team leader, even though there are the rumors about him being on the way out of Milwaukee, as long as he's still wearing a green and cream number 34, he's the leader in that locker room. So, yeah, you got to be a good teammate, but you also have to be a good leader. And I think that's what Giannis, at least according to these reports, is starting to assert himself as, because this Bucks team is playing like absolute dog crap right now.
Yeah, bad team.
They're a bad team. And they've fallen into some bad habits, and some of it's effort. And if you're playing like dog crap, somebody needs to tell you to your face that you're playing like dog crap.
Yeah, I just hope his situation isn't a great distraction, right, to those that are on the court and trying to play still every day, hearing about it every day, being questioned about it. So time will tell. We'll have a million more conversations, probably playing back Shams weekly on things that he says that don't come to fruition. But we'll transition to the Badgers men's basketball team. They'll be in action tonight on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska 23rd ranked in the country. And Greg Gard said that they had to plan this week for crowd noise in Lincoln.
We've thrown in crowd noise and super loud music the last couple of days just to try to shake it up a little bit. But you understand, you block that out. You don't let that seep in. That's just, hey, everybody dressed in red is cheering for Wisconsin.
What the hell is it with Nebraska fans that they're always so passionate, Doug? Is it just, what is it about them that they are always in it, even if their teams aren't that great?
I'm going to say this as someone whose father is a son of Nebraska, who loves Nebraska more than any other state in the union, even though he hasn't lived there in a long time. As someone myself who spent a lot of my childhood in Nebraska, I have some, I think, credibility to a certain extent to speak about Nebraska. There ain't nothing to do there.
All right.
There ain't nothing to do in we say that or hear that about Green Bay a lot. There ain't nothing to do in Lincoln, Nebraska. There ain't nothing to do in that state other than when your sports teams are good, let's go out there and support them. And a lot of people, I asked my Aunt Eva one time, like, there's not a whole lot to do here. She lived in Benkelman, Nebraska, which is on the other side of the state of Lincoln. And I said, what do you do? I mean, for fun around here. And she's like, you know what? It's okay. We like our simple life, and it is a simple life. It's a small town. I've got my church groups. I've got my knitting groups. Sometimes the ladies come over and play cards, and we have Bible study and all this other stuff. And the way that she explained it was like, this is just kind of what we do. This is what we like. And it's a slower pace of life. And if you don't get it, you don't get it. That's okay. I think that's why they're so passionate about their sports teams, because there ain't a hell of a lot to do in Nebraska. As my Aunt Eva explained to me.
I was hoping that'd be the angle you'd take. And that's exactly the road you went down. There's nothing to do. So when they have something to watch and they're good, it tends to lend towards a more positive audience.
Whether it's football, volleyball, they've been very good at. They had that 100,000 fans at that volleyball match a few years ago. Now their basketball team is good. So, yeah, I mean, having spent as much time in Nebraska as I have, I think it would be very difficult for me to live there.
Well, down in Florida, where I think a lot of people find it easy to live, though some have their other opinions, Pat Murphy was asked about the Brewers, and this is what he had to say about their play style and how it stacks up in a lot of people's opinions.
we're just kind of doing whatever we got to do to win the game. You know what I mean? However we need to get the runner to the next base, or however we need to line up our pitching, we just do what we got to do. And it's been interpreted as we're playing old school baseball or we're playing this certain type. But if you don't hit homers as much, you don't have guys that have that track record of doing that, and they don't understand it yet. You do what you got to do.
A lot of people are, I think, turned off by the Brewers offense from a national level because, hey, they're not hitting home runs. They're scoring runs, but they're not hitting home runs. But home runs and the power attack are very, they vary year to year. I mean, it's variable. It's hard to guarantee pop. You can guarantee an offensive attack like the Brewers, and I wanted to ask you, how is it sustainable? Can they keep doing this? Can this be their identity for years to come? Or is this a flash in the pan type situation and other teams will be able to react and slow down the attack that's been working?
I think it's more sustainable than, sitting back and waiting for the 3-run home run. I'd go the opposite way because when you play small ball, and small ball gets, I think, knocked around in a pejorative way more than it should, because I look at that style of baseball as when other things aren't going well, you try to manufacture runs however you can manufacture runs. And sometimes you got to get creative. And sometimes that means laying down a bunt. Sometimes that means a hit and run. Sometimes that means taking the extra base, being aggressive on the base paths. And these are all things that have helped the Brewers score runs. Sitting back and waiting for the 3-run home run, teams go into slumps all the time. I'm going to give you another baseball cliche. Hitting is contagious. And some of it is the pitcher gets worn out a little bit. The pitcher's worried about making another mistake and compounding mistakes. So there is some science behind just the cliche of hitting is contagious. But slumping is really contagious, though, too, because that gives the pitcher that much more confidence. And if you get down 4 runs in the 3rd inning, oftentimes we've seen, because Craig Counsell, and I still think that Craig Counsell is a good manager, but at times it felt like, all right, the team is just going to, pack up the bats and go home because they were sitting back and waiting for the 3-run home run. I love the fact that you never know when this team is going to steal a base or drop down a bunt or sacrifice a guy over. You do that because you need to shuffle the deck a little bit, because you don't hit as many home runs as other teams. So I think it's more sustainable, not less sustainable than, just seeing, how your big bopper is going to do in the middle of the lineup on any given day.
Absolutely. I think the Brewers are in a position where they have an identity and it's a hard one to stop. I mean, if it's simply just a culture and you can't stop culture. So I believe in them and their approach for years to come, especially if Pat Murphy's their guy at skipper. We'll end with this. Eric Mateus hired to be the new offensive line coach here for Wisconsin football. His Arkansas offensive line ranked 2nd in the nation in their offensive line grades last year. They were graded at a 92.4 on whatever arbitrary scale. Only Utah was better in the country. I said SEC in the country. So if Wisconsin has their guy at offensive line, at the offensive line coach spot, I think A.J. Blazek was a great coach and a really good recruiter. Maybe the personnel wasn't right for him. If they have their guy now, how does that change things in your opinion for them moving forward?
Still got to get players. You got to have guys that are going to open up lines, for the Dylan Joneses of the world to get through. So, I mean, technique can help. Coaching can help, certainly. But here's another cliche for you. Coach is only good as his players. And you need to recruit guys like Billy Strouth and Carson Hintzman. And I know I bring these kids' names up a lot, but they're homegrown guys that went to Notre Dame and Ohio State. You have to keep the homegrown hog mollies here because that's the identity of Wisconsin football. It's homegrown offensive talent, offensive line talent. Kids that grew up on farms in Fond du Lac, kids that are just raking over at Heartland Arrowhead. That's what you need. That's how this team is going to get back to its offensive identity. So I think the coaching change was made for a reason, but now you've got to go out and get the guys that will fit what he's trying to teach and have it meld into Jeff Grimes' overall offensive scheme. So it's a step, but it's not the complete step. It's not the staircase. We'll put it that way. It's just a step.
We'll actually end with this real quick. apparently Phillip Rivers was prepared to come out of retirement a couple years ago when Brock Purdy hurt his elbow in the NFC Championship game. Had the 49ers won, Phillip Rivers was in communication with Kyle Shanahan to potentially play in the Super Bowl. Eagles end up losing that game to the Chiefs. But Phillip Rivers, I saw some practice footage. People said it took 3 business days for the ball to get to his wide receiver. I don't know if he's got any zip on that ball anymore, but we'll see. If he's out there on Sunday against that defense, Seattle, who has been incredible, not to mention if he's their starter the rest of the way, he'll also see Houston. Goodness gracious, Godspeed to one of the all-time guys.
Well, you got 10 kids at home. Now you got a screaming grandkid at home. I don't know where his child that has the child, I don't know where they live, but
yeah,
you got that many screaming kids at home. Maybe you just want to get away from it all. And so it doesn't surprise me necessarily that he's been itching to get back. But yeah, this retirement, not exactly what I had in mind. Listen, you make all those 10 kids. I know you're financially
It's just incredible that it's him. Like, if you think about quarterbacks that have retired in recent years, 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, but apparently he wanted to come back. He wanted to come back before now.
I understand it, but Matt Ryan was with the Colts more recently than him. He played poorly. Phillip played well in his 1 year there, but
Matt Ryan's gone media though.
That's true. Phil Rivers' home state, Alabama.
I don't know that Phil Rivers is ever going media. Matt Ryan looks like a natural. Matt Ryan looks like he's been doing it forever. I think he's very good at it. I don't know that Phil Rivers would ever be very good at it.
Very similar careers, too.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan is also top 10 in a bunch of passing stats. And I don't know if he won an MVP.
He did
Phil
win an
didn't.
MVP. Yep.
So
there's that. And Matt Ryan also played in a Super Bowl. And
he did.
Phil Rivers did not.
Yeah, he blew it, though. What's worse? Not making it or making it and blowing it up 25 points.
Go ask his quarterbacks coach that year.
That's right, Kyle Shanahan.
No, Matt LaFleur.
Oh, yeah.
The quarterbacks coach in Atlanta was Matt LaFleur when they blew that
Even
lead.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to go. Matt LaFleur's fault, I guess.
I think Shanahan was the OC, wasn't he?
He was, yes. I wasn't sure if he was both. Bruisers Bites brought to you by Wisconsin Concrete Coatings, wiconcretecoatings.com. Visit them there.
All right, go to work on Bruisers Bites. In case you missed it, we had Wayne Larrabee to lead off the show several hours ago. We'll play that conversation back for you just in case you missed it. Coming up straight ahead. Stay with us. We're in the home stretch on D.N.D.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D. will be back in just a moment. You are listening to the home of the best Packers coverage.
Carl Brooks with us here on Packers OT after the Packers beat the Bears once again here at Lambeau Field 28-21 on our daily shows. We had a lot of fun with their coach in his introductory press conference, mentioning by name Coach LaFleur and talking about beating him twice a year. I don't expect that Coach LaFleur put that up in any team meeting, but did that get sent amongst the group chat? Did you guys talk about that at all? Because he got prompted, took a little shot. So I know that this rivalry is always hot, but it felt really, really hot down there today.
Yeah, we ain't putting in no group chats or nothing like that. At the end of the day, words don't define anything. You got to go out there and play and make the plays. But, that was a shot at Matt. I'm going to leave that for him. But at the end of the day, we just want to go out there and win every game. So despite what he's talking about, whatever he's saying, we just going to go out there and play ball. I'm going to leave that one to Matt, though.
Yeah, that's a good one. The final last thing for you, Carl, is Keyshawn, man, he had that series where he had a couple penalties and it was getting chippy, and he kind of got hosed on a call where they didn't see the guy grab his neck and they called him for personal foul. And then he makes the pick to end the game, and you guys get to celebrate like that. What's it like having a teammate? I know you guys play complementary football and try to pick each other up all the time, but what's it like when you see a guy get redemption and satisfaction like that?
Yeah, they always going to catch the second guy. Things get chippy out there. It's a rivalry game, so I can't really, emotions are flying. We passionate, we care. I just love how he's a pro, man. He kept his head in it, and then he went out there to go end the game. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him for his film study and just keeping his head in it and not getting too low on himself and just go out there and play the next play, which he did. He made a hell of a play at the end for us, and, we needed that. But at the end of the day, when he make those penalties or whatever it is, we're going to have his back regardless. We're going to rally around him, and, it's on to the next play.
Carl, you can always say one game at a time, but you guys walked into a run of 4 division games out of 5, 3 in a row, walk out winning all 3 of them. What do you think it says about your football team after what you guys did in the division a year ago?
Man, we resilient. We care. We passionate. And at the end of the day, we just got to keep being better, keep having that 1-0 mentality, and just keep on attacking it each and every day. Give a lot of credit to our guys on the team, man. We hungry. So I love it from us, and we're just going to keep going and, one play at a time and keep having that one play or one game mindset.
Carl, thanks for joining us, man. Go enjoy this one with your teammates. Get some rest. It looked like we would ask you how you're doing physically, but you look fine to us up there. So
good.
You are listening to the home of the best Packers coverage, The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1971.
February, 4 months after her death, Janis Joplin's album Pearl is released and goes to number 1. The single Me and Bobby McGee also tops the chart. Bill Withers hits number 3 with the single Ain't No Sunshine from his debut album produced by Booker T. Jones. In March of 71, Carole King releases her first solo album and scores 2 number 1 singles, I Feel the Earth Move and It's Too Late. And UK progressive rockers Jethro Tull have a top 10 album on both sides of the Atlantic with Aqualung.
Stop running down his nose. Greasy fingers smearing shabby clothes. Hey, Aqualung.
In April, the Temptations topped the charts with Just My Imagination, their 3rd number 1 and their 13th top 10 single. Three Dog Night have their 2nd number 1 single with Joy to the World. And the Rolling Stones album Sticky Fingers is released, including the number 1 single Brown Sugar.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1971. Coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to get some insight on his latest release, Rocket Science.
It's a guitar-based record for sure, and I love big hooks, and not a country record at all. It's a rock and roll record, but it does have some country elements.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
iHeartRadio. Soundtrack Flashback.
Was there anything Queen couldn't do? Flash Gordon hit screens in 1980 and gave us a soundtrack / Queen album for the ages. The Flash theme still conjures positive vibes to this day.
For more great movie soundtrack hits, check out Popcorn Radio on the iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back in. It's D.N.D. Doug Russell, Nick Brusewitz, and Dave Gasper. Dave will be back tomorrow. He was in Orlando, or has been in Orlando. The Rule 5 draft is going on right now, so we'll have a full report on that tomorrow. I don't expect the Brewers to be extraordinarily active in that. Of course, coming up on Sunday, 3:25 kickoff at whatever the Invesco Field or Empower Field at Mile High, whatever they're calling it now, where the Denver Broncos play their home games. Is where the Packers will be, with Wayne Larrivee, Larry McCarron on the call, John Kuhn on the sidelines on the Packers radio network. Earlier in the program, we had a chance to catch up with the Hall of Fame voice of your Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrivee. I had one question, overriding question among anything else, with this 11-2 team that the Packers are going to be taking on Sunday afternoon. Their defense looks really good. Is this team, in your opinion, from what you've been able to see, is this team for real?
Yeah, I've with the games I've studied, I keep saying, they have great numbers, they have great statistics throughout the lineup, and you sit there and you wonder, how are they playing down to Washington on a Sunday or a Monday night game? How are they? Why are they in a dogfight with the Las Vegas Raiders? And so there's something going on here that I don't quite understand, except their defense is outstanding in terms of rushing the quarterback, and they probably have several Pro Bowlers on that defense. They have great coverage in the secondary. But there's something not quite clicking. It's something that holds me back from saying they're a great team. They have a great record, but they're not a great team. Not like there's no one this year is great. Let me put it that way. There's no one the caliber of the top 5 teams of last year. No one's in that ballpark. And some have really good records like the Patriots and the Broncos, but they're not unbeatable. Let's put it that way. And I just can't quite figure out how and why Denver plays down to the opposition week after week and has to pull out these one-score games.
Wayne, from my perspective, I think Sean Payton's one of the best offensive minds in the NFL's history. And I would think they'd be a far worse team if they didn't have him potentially boosting what is a weaker offensive group than I think their record would suggest. Where do you stand on Sean Payton? Because not too long ago, he was one of those guys where you're like, if you got Sean Payton, you got a chance.
He is a brilliant offensive mind, and he's got that cheesecake factory play sheet in front of him.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think some of this actually might hold back his quarterback. I mean, there's just so much to a Sean Payton offense. It just begs for an experienced veteran quarterback, and Bo Nix is none of that. He's a young guy. I think he's got great polish. He had 61 starts or thereabouts in college. He's bounced around. He's mature beyond his years, but he's still a rookie, basically a rookie in this league. He played last year, had some nice numbers, but this year, it's interesting. It's kind of like Caleb Williams. From what I've seen, he makes tough throws easily and makes the easy throws tough, if that makes any sense at all.
Wayne Larrabee joining us here, Hall of Fame voice of the Packers. I want to talk about the team that we all cover here on a day in and day out basis. And I asked this question because I asked Evan Williams this after the game on Sunday as well, because it was such a dominating defensive performance that the Packers had in the first half of their game on Sunday against the Bears. In the second half, Chicago really able to establish the run. Are the Packers defensively going to have to scheme a little bit differently, in your opinion, the last 4 games of the regular season as the weather turns, as they have some of these cold weather games? Because when Chicago was able to establish the run, it seemed like they really got their offense clicking.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they, in the second half, looked like the team I had seen in 5-6 weeks prior. They moved the football, and they didn't get the explosive running plays that they're used to getting. But they moved the football steadily in the second half, and they made some adjustments. And, they had that Packers defense pretty well gassed on the field. They spent a lot of time on the field, 10 minutes more than their offense did. And I just think that, Chicago runs 40 plays. The Packers run 19 in the second half. That's the game. If anybody's thinking ahead, that's the game the Packers are getting in Chicago for 4 quarters. So, yeah, I think they're going to have to scheme a little bit around this. They just don't have the experience up front in a lot of these cases to handle some of the intricacies of the running game that these teams present. So I think Jeff's going to have to do some, and I saw him do a little more blitzing. He had defensive backs a little more active in that ball game against Chicago, and I think that's going to have to continue because they're missing big pieces on that defensive line.
When you see the return of Jaden Reed and they got him involved early against the Bears, I felt like with that amount of weaponry, Jordan Love felt a little bit more comfortable. I know the Bears aren't necessarily the best defense this season, but Love looked in full command in what was maybe the largest, most important game of the year last week with their win over Chicago.
He did look in control. And the one thing I will say about getting Jaden Reed back is that we forgot how important he is. How good he is, just his presence on the field and the plays he can make. And they show the jet sweep action and that type of thing with Jaden Reed. So yeah, getting him back with Christian Watson out there, obviously Romeo Dobbs and Wicks didn't see much action. It didn't appear in that ball game, but they're deep in their stable of receivers. And they haven't really scratched the surface with Matthew Golden yet. Maybe they'll do that down the stretch here too. So there's a lot of options available for Jordan Love in the passing game, especially. And it's going to be interesting to see the way they scheme this, because they're going to have to do something unusually good to beat this Denver defense.
Let's talk about the other wide receiver besides Jaden Reed that you, after his 41-yard touchdown reception on Sunday, dubbed the Packers' top wide receiver, Christian Watson. He didn't look like a guy as he's running away from the pack that had a torn ACL less than a year ago. In your opinion, is he now established as the number one option for Jordan Love as a receiver?
Well, Doug, I had that exact same thought when I saw him running away from C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I said to myself as he crossed the end zone, I said, wow. I said to myself, wow, didn't this guy have a devastating injury less than a year ago? And,
right.
And here he is. But he's a freak of nature, as the coaches have been saying. And, he healed quickly. If they can keep him healthy, yeah, he's the number one receiver. I think he's the most talented receiver they have overall. And I think he is. I think 9 is becoming 1 in the Green Bay offense.
When you look at the defense and Keyshawn in particular, he had a tough game. I mean, he got called for a penalty that he deserved. He got called for a penalty he probably didn't deserve, but he delivers that game-sealing interception. And there's a little bit of swagger he always walks around with. So if he's making those game-winning plays, I think he's going to be just fine. What do you make of Keyshawn Nixon maybe as this season gets into the postseason and you get much tougher competition?
Well, he's a very emotional player, so he's given to some of those outbursts that draw flags. And that's kind of who Key is. I mean, he's a very emotional guy. He plays on an edge. I think he covers pretty well, and I think that, the two cornerbacks the Packers have do not have Patrick Surtain's pedigree, okay? They're not that kind of corner. But what they are is tough as nails. They will come up. They won't shy away from the run. They will come up and make hits on the run, and they never quit on a play. Carrington Valentine and Keyshawn Nixon, you don't quit. Keyshawn, in a couple of plays earlier this season, got fooled, thought the play was over, and it looked like he quit. But that's not his style. That's not who he is. These are two physical cornerbacks. They will make it difficult on wide receivers across the league because of their physicality and the fact that they will not go away. They're like a pain in the you-know-what to a wide receiver around the league. And that's a good thing for the Packers secondary. And I think that's part of the reason why the Packers are a much more physical team this year than they have been in years past. And to play those cornerbacks, I think that's a big part of it. But I'm on board with Keyshawn Nixon. I've seen him improve so much over the last 3 years as a cover corner. And Carrington Valentine, 7th round draft choice. Again, you talk about pedigree. Where are these guys from? Well, Key was acquired by the Packers as a special teams guy. Mm-hmm. And Carrington Valentine was a 7th round draft choice. Let's take a shot, see what we've got. And yet I think both those guys exceed their pedigree and their expectations.
You look at the NFC and the playoff picture right now. The Rams a half game in front of the Packers right now, but the Bears, over the course of 3 hours on Sunday, they went from the top seed to the number 7 seed. I know you've been at this a long time. Do you ever remember a season where there was so much bunching up with 4 games left to play? Because the Packers could be the number 1 seed. The Packers, God forbid, could be out of the playoffs if they have a couple of bad games. There's so much bunching up between the top team and the last team in the NFC right now. I don't ever remember it being this close.
You know what, Doug? I don't either. Usually there's some separation by this time of the season, but it goes back to what we talked about earlier. There are no great teams. Nobody's separating from anyone. And so you have these huge swings week to week in the playoffs. I think when the Packers played Minnesota, if Green Bay won, they had an 81% chance of making the playoffs. If they lost, their chances went down to like 33%, wow. Something like that. Big swings, and that's what we're going to see the final 4 weeks of the season. I don't mind the fact that we don't have a flat-out dominant team. We have teams with great records, but we don't have that dominant team that nobody can quite handle. All these teams are especially in the playoff race, are essentially the same in many respects. Some have weaknesses in different places than the other, or strengths in different places than the other, but this is an incredible playoff run because so many teams are in it and so much rides on each one of these games.
Wayne, to add to the intrigue of this NFL season, there's a possibility that Phillip Rivers comes back after 5 years away to play for the Colts down the stretch this year. And I'm not going to ask you to dig into Phillip Rivers as a player or the thought of him coming back at 44 years old, but we're doing a little bit of a fun question today. If there was a Packer that is retired that could come back and help the Packers at this moment, is there someone that sticks out to you?
Wow.
Some of the ideas we were floating around were like Clay Matthews, if he's healthy, David Bakhtiari, right, if he's healthy, like a couple of these guys that might have had to retire a little early.
Yeah, I mean, Clay would be one of those guys, I would think. Not David. David's,
his knee's gone, but let's just say perfect.
Yeah,
there's nothing there anymore.
Yeah, as a player, he's gone. He was a great player, but unfortunately, that knee injury he was never the same. Boy, that's a good question. I'm just trying to think now. Some of the guys most recently who have retired. Tremont Williams, I think, could still play at 100. So
sure.
He's a guy who could go out there and cover people.
You'd think Peppers might be in good fit right now too, right? I mean, he was always a physical specimen. I know he's got some tread on his tires, but
the Packers spent all of last week trying to find the next Howard Green. Does Howard have any eligibility left?
Well, we were playing all the highlights from the 2010 NFC Championship game last week, obviously leading up to the Bears game, and we're reminded of the fat guy touchdown when number 90 B.J. Raji's all rumbling and bumbling and stumbling. He retired early too. I don't think he's coming back, but he retired pretty early.
Not only is he not coming back, we can't find him. We don't know where he is.
Yeah, he went off the grid.
He's really gone. Yeah, I mean. There are people better known in witness protection than B.J. Raji and his whereabouts.
When you get out to Colorado, is it all business, or are you going to get out and do some skiing while you're out there? Because I know you like to hit the slopes.
No, it's all business. Going in Saturday with the team, coming out after the game Sunday night. So, no, I'll look at the Rockies and hope they get more snow out there because snowpacks through the central Rockies and western Rockies, they're down around 40% of normal.
They got some of ours.
We've got more snow and better ski weather here than they have out there. I can guarantee you.
We do have a listener, Ryan in Denver, saying they got a lot of fresh snow in the mountains this weekend. So tell Wayne to come back with his skis during the Pack's playoff bye week when they get that first round bye.
Well, define a lot of snow, because if you're talking about less than 24 inches. It's not a lot of snow, not in the Rockies, 24 inches here, you could ski into June. But 24 inches out there, the rocks are still sticking out from the snow.
Man, we've had a lot of that heavy snow here in Wisconsin as well. Our conversation earlier today with the voice of the Packers, Wayne Larrivee, he'll be on the call starting at 3:25. I do some pregame stuff with Dennis and Drew before the game. At 3:25, your kickoff between the Packers and the Broncos. This is D.N.D. closing ceremonies for this Wednesday. Coming up straight ahead. Stay with us.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Should I stay or should I go?
Will Giannis stay or will Giannis go?
Giannis has not gone up and said, I want to be traded. Giannis has just expressed frustration, and his agent has had to be sort of the guy behind the scenes that has talked about stuff. And so I understand that what people want is, does he want to be traded or not? It's a simple yes or no question that doesn't have a simple answer because he's elected to try to go through the process without having a firm decision. He's just not thrilled with where they are, but he doesn't know if he wants to go forward.
We're talking about the latest news on the situation here on The Game.
Well, come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go?
And now a look back at this week in history.
on iHeartRadio.
This week in 1901, Italian physicist and radio pioneer Guglielmo Marconi succeeds in sending the first radio transmission across the Atlantic Ocean, disproving detractors who told him that the curvature of the Earth would limit the transmission to 200 miles or less. The message, simply the Morse code signal for the letter S, traveled more than 2,000 miles. Jumping ahead, this week in 1978, half a dozen masked robbers raided the Lufthansa Airlines cargo building at JFK Airport in New York, making off with more than $5 million in cash and almost $1 million in jewelry. To this day, the Lufthansa heist, as it's known, is considered one of the most legendary in U.S. history. This week in 1980, American oil tycoon Armand Hammer pays over $5 million at an auction for a notebook containing writings by the legendary artist Leonardo da Vinci. It contains 72 loose pages featuring some 300 notes and detailed drawings. And this week in 2009, Avatar, a science fiction epic helmed by Titanic director James Cameron, makes its world debut in London and goes on to become the highest grossing movie in history. Starring Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, and Sigourney Weaver, the box office mega hit was praised for its state-of-the-art technology and earned 9 Academy Award nominations. Cameron wrote the script for Avatar in 1994. However, at that point, the technology didn't exist to produce the movie he wanted.
And that's what happened. Thanks for listening to This Week in History on iHeartRadio.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1976.
Bob Dylan releases his album Desire. It goes to #1 in the States, thanks mainly to significant radio airplay for the single Hurricane.
Couldn't help but make me feel ashamed to live in a land where justice is a game.
Scottish sensations the Bay City Rollers finally score a hit in the U.S. with the #1 single Saturday Night. In February, former Steve Miller Band member Boz Scaggs has a #2 U.S. album with Silk Debris. Peter Frampton hits #1 with his double live album Frampton Comes Alive. It would become the best-selling album of 1976.
I want you show me the way every day. I want you show me the way night and day.
In March, Irish hard rockers Thin Lizzy's 6th album Jailbreak scores them a #12 hit single with The Boys Are Back in Town.
The boys are back in town again. Been hanging down at the nose.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1976 coming up.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Steve Miller Band songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Take the Money and Run.
Bobby Sue, took the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run.
Number 2, Rockin' Me.
I know that it's true that all the things that I do will come back to me in my sweet and time. So keep on rocking me, baby. Keep on rocking me, baby.
Number 1, The Joker.
I play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I get my loving on the run.
Hear more from the Steve Miller Band and similar artists now. Search for Steve Miller Band on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Come on, Brandon, hit that hook. There we go. Final segment here of D.N.D. Doug Russell, Nick Bruiser, Steve Gass will be back tomorrow. Thanks to Wayne Larrabee for joining us in the last segment, but that was a replay of our conversation from when we led off the show with Wayne. Yeah, he loves to get out and hit the slopes, but he can't do that during the football season because, listen, we can't lose Wayne. We can't lose Wayne to an avalanche or anything like that. I mean, he must be protected at all costs.
I'm assuming he's never done it, but you'd think that there would have been a level of interest had he ever been approached to call Olympic skiing.
Oh, I don't know. I've never asked him that.
My guess is he hasn't, because he's a busy guy, and the Olympics, specifically Winter Olympics, are often overlapping part of football season or immediately thereafter, right? I think that timing is.
I mean, Wayne's a busy guy, but he's not that busy. I mean, he is someone who, as he's gotten older, he has chosen his volition to kind of scale back some of his assignments. At one point, he was doing just about everything in Chicago and Packers. So he'd be doing like a Bulls game on a Saturday night, and then, well, it would start, let's see, a Bulls game on a Friday night, then a Big Ten Network game on Saturday, and then a Packers game on Sunday, and then back to the Bulls on Monday. I mean, he would be all over the place. Now he's concentrating on the Packers, and, it gives him the opportunity to, continue to be as great as he is on the call, but also gives him a chance to get out and do some skiing when he wants to get out and do some skiing. So,
yeah,
that's not I wouldn't say he's in semi-retirement, because he's not, but he's not. The workload has dissipated pretty significantly by his own choice, and I think that's something that we would all, I think, benefit from if when we get to his age. He's 70 years old now. So
on the few occasions I've had the opportunity to go to one of the local places where you can ski or snowboard, I've always tried snowboarding because I always thought that was cooler.
Do you know how to ski?
No, I can't do either.
I did one ski lesson once for a story when I worked on the Dial.
Nice.
So it was fun. I enjoyed it. Never went back.
Pizza, fries. Pizza, fries.
What is that? What they say? Is that what they teach you?
South Park episode, right? You put the skis.
I got you.
You touch the front tips so that it's a pizza to slow down, and then you go fries to go faster, and then pizza.
Interesting.
To slow down.
Okay. For me, it was, if you're going too fast, just fall over. Abort mission. I had to do that a couple times. Is either that or those 10 kids down at the bottom of the hill were going to be like set up and fall down like bowling pins, and nobody needed that.
They hold their arms and they try and catch you.
All right, that's it. Dave's back tomorrow. Nick, good work today. As always, we'll see you tomorrow. Actually, we'll see you tonight on the J&K Security Solutions basketball postgame show after the Badgers beat the Cornhuskers.
Here are the top Stevie Wonder songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Part-Time Lover.